Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Trackalicious. We are back with a new season of GT4 action. Tonight, we've got action around Imola, featuring the rookies and the Open Series. A quick qualifying up ahead, followed by two 20-minute races with a 50-minute race up ahead for the Open Series. My name is Kuja Terekov. Joining me today in our lovely commentary booth is our good friend Tyler Morgan. Tyler, how are you doing this fine Monday evening?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you so much for asking. I'm so excited for the new season again. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of anticipation on this new rookie season, and I can't wait to see what some of these old rookies that are returning and these new rookies can do. We had a lot of graduates from the rookies going to the Open, which you'll see next after we deal with the rookie series first. I'm so excited. This is going to be so much fun.
Yeah, it will be indeed. A few people in the chat already saying hello. Hello to Alex. Hello to Octane. Hello, Rally Dutchy. Hello, AV6 Scott. Hello, Doc Milwy. Hello, Nyrads. Sad that a few people already graduated from the rookies, but it'll be exciting to see what sort of action they can provide in the Open Series. And speaking of action, let's get to the qualifying session we have currently going on track. It is the rookies starting us off. Let's head to the track itself. And unfortunately, my pictures are not working. I need to hit drive, that's why. Here we go. Picking up the action here with our good friend Christoph Schenk in the 69 McLaren, the Logitech McLaren G Challenge livery today. For our lovely friend Black Screen, unfortunate. Let's see if we can fix that real quick. Go back to our lovely studio here. One Bigley, thank you very much. Welcome to the podium. Much appreciate the support for Trackalicious.
A 26-month streak. That's 2 years and 2 months. That's incredible.
That is indeed super exciting. I'm not quite sure why the stream is not picking up. Let me try once again to get that going. It was literally working 30 seconds ago. And of course, as always, no things are working. And One Bigley, amazing! Thank you so much for the $5 donation. We do appreciate all the support at Trackalicious. Thank you very much once again to One Bigley. Tyler, what are you looking forward to in this GT4 race we have up ahead of us?
Well, I can definitely seem to think that these drivers are definitely going to have a little bit of a challenge, especially when it comes to Imola. Imola is this kind of like weird flowy circuit that you kind of have to get right, but if you get wrong, it punishes you. Imola is one of my more favorite tracks. It definitely needs you definitely have to like throw the car around and it's got to be very obedient, and if it's not, you'll find yourself in the gravel. So I think it'll be very important for these drivers to just kind of at first take it easy. Obviously with lap one you want to be able to keep it nice, smooth and steady, and then as the race goes on, maybe you can get a little bit more aggressive, especially also during the first race of the season. You kind of, there might be some new blood. There's definitely some old blood in there as well. So you know who you can race against, and the new guys, you kind of just are figuring out what they can do. You're kind of studying their moves so that later on in the season, maybe in the beginning you're not so comfortable making a move on somebody you don't know, but at the end of the season, when you've studied them for so long, then maybe you can find out their little mini things that they do, and then make a move based on that. So I think that'll be exciting to see the overtakes. I'm excited, honestly, to see the saves. The saves last season were nuts, both by Nairati and the rookies, and then I think it was Sug as well. The amount of two-wheel saves last season was insane.
Yeah, there was a sure good amount of action last year from our rookies. A lot of them did graduate to the Open Series, so it'll be exciting to see what sort of action they can provide for us there. And like you said, Imola is a really fun track. Lots of challenging curves to take, lots of flowing corners, lots of elevation change. So we'll have to wait and see and how the rookies will handle the challenging track that we have lying up ahead of us. And hopefully we will get this show on the road here soon, folks. Apologies once again for this technical issue. It was literally working 10 minutes before everything started, so not quite sure what happened here. But thank you.
One fire gets put out, the next fire responds.
Yep, indeed. So let me see what I can do here, and we will get this lovely show we have on the road. All right, let's try this real quick. Go ahead, Tyler.
In the meantime, chat. Anyone celebrating St. Patrick's Day today? Anybody drinking some green beer or green whatever you want to drink? Because for me, everyone at work just wore green, and that's pretty much the last of it. So
Alrighty,
okay,
friends.
I can see it on the screen.
We have track action. 12 minutes left in qualifying. The rookies have begun already, and our pole position time at the moment is a 1:52.617 set by Schenk in the 69 McLaren. Moriko Yatanashi just 8 hundredths off the good of that lap time, trying to improve ever so closely up to the line. Can Moriko improve the lap time? They can indeed, but it's still not enough to claim pole position. Improves to just 18 hundredths off of the lap time up ahead. Thank you for the follow that is Unterweg Mitster. Thank you very much. Much appreciate the support at Trackalicious here. And we've got a pretty good running grid so far. The odds are out on track first in the first 10 minutes. Moriko Yatanashi doing a fantastic drift through the second high-speed Villeneuve chicane around Imola.
Just reading the chat, and Kuja, if you do not mind, I cannot. There you go. I didn't even have to say it. You already knew. To Octane, I wish someone would talk about me as much as Tyler talks about Nairati. I mean, we're good friends in real life. I always gotta pump his tires for some things. He was. For the first season when we raced, I was better mostly because he was on wheel and I was on controller and I was using all the assists, so he's faster than me now. And then considering that I am driving tonight, I will plead the fifth, but my sister's birthday is today. Happy birthday to your sister. So yeah, no, Nairati's a good friend of mine. I'm always happy to be able to comment. We'll be doing that in the open, but Shane Sullivan's he's gonna find maybe a 10th on this lap, and he can get past Matt Hugh in the Chevy there. But honestly, wasn't Sullivan in the Open as a pro last season? How was he in the rookies?
I think they were in fact in the rookies, yeah, and they just competed in both the series, if I'm not mistaken. And while we were saying that, there is a new fastest lap on the top set by Schenk, a 1:51.897. Ramirez is now in second place. Yatanashi 6.5 tenths off of the good of pole position. And then Trackalicious, our good friend, is saying that's Scott Sullivan who you are thinking of, Tyler.
Ah! How many Sullivans do you have here, Trackalicious?
It is the day of the Sullivans on St. Patrick's Day, and the 10 minutes for the odd-numbered cars are complete. And there we see the grid on the left-hand side. Shane Sullivan able to improve up to 8th place, but not quite able to get past Hugh and Sagan in front. Schink setting the pace at the front with a 151.897. Ramirez just behind, less than 2/10 off. Then we have Yatanashi, Ortega, Pelaez, Martino, Sagan, Hugh, Sullivan, Duchy, and Groves is the last driver of the ones who have completed a lap so far. And with the next drivers out on track, let's take a look and see how Matt Cooley gets on warming up the tires for the start of their qualifying.
There's a lot more makers compared to how there was last season in the rookies. There's a lot more diversity. You have a few Astons, you have a few Porsches, you have a Ginetta. There was an Alpine in here at some point. I don't know where Porkchop is. I thought he would have been, he was in here at least to start. He's not in here now, it seems. But yeah, there's a lot of cars out here. There's not as many Mercedes as AMGs this season. That's a little unfortunate, at least in the rookies. Maybe we'll be lucky in the Open. We'll see a bunch of them. But yeah, we'll see how the evens can do and set a lap time for them.
Yes, indeed, and right as you say that, Dr. Porkchop, in fact, has joined the server in the Alpine, down in 17th place, but unfortunately will not be able to complete a lap time as the 10 minutes for the odd-numbered cars are up, but good to see him in the server, able to race once again in this 19-car grid we have for the first race at Imola of the GT4 series. Just wanted to say thank you for Keaton for the follow. Forgot to mention that earlier. Thank you for the support at Trackalicious. It means a lot to all of us working here behind the scenes, providing such great action for all of you lovely Trackalicious folk to watch.
Provolone already putting cheese emojis in the chat right now. I can't wait to see him in the Open. These curbs are very, very dangerous. You have to make it just right. You got to be careful of those little, I call them sausage extenders, those little yellow bricks on the edge there. If you go over those, it will unsettle your car and you risk running it wide. And as it stands right now, Chris Sanderson, Go For It Racing in the Porsche, currently trying to get on a lap. It seems the car behind still trying to warm their tires desperately. As they're in the GT4s, there are no tire blankets, so the first 1 or 2 laps aren't really indicative of true pace because you're still warming your tires as they go around.
Yeah, still going around indeed. A few odd-numbered cars. Or sorry, a few even-numbered cars. I'm getting my odds and my evens completely mixed up. This will be the first representative lap time of those even-numbered cars. But like you said, it is the first lap, so most likely not going to be the fastest one as everything is still getting up to pressure and getting up to temperature. Now, just 2 corners to go for Saunderson here in the 18 Go For It Racing Porsche. The 2 Ravazzas, Ravazza 1 and Ravazza 2. 2 pretty tight 90-degree angle corners, a lot of danger on the exits. You don't want to run wide. There's a lot of gravel that'll slow down your lap time before this long Imola straightaway, not so straightaway. The main start-finish straight, quote-unquote, we'll call it here tonight, and that is a lap from Saunderson, good enough for 10th place.
Just noticed something. Martino is out on track, even though he is an odd number. I noticed that just now, so it will be interesting to see how probably just a small mix-up, nothing to note, but definitely saw. I see everything as the commentator as we ride on board with Easton. I just need a T in there, and then I can call him Easton Stick, but it's just Easton for now in the Jurassic Race. That is a lovely, lovely car. I love the split color system there on that. That's actually quite beautiful.
Yeah, it's a good combination of the chrome purple and the pretty matte gray on the other side. Yeah, it's a very, very Two-Face from Batman kind of design. One side's very bright, colorful. The other one a little bit more dark and grayscaled, but yes, like you said, very good design, very good to see. Dipping a wheel into the grass on the exit of the Variante Alta at the top of the hill. Back down, just 2 corners to go. Currently sits in 8th place in the number 2 Camaro. Just 1 corner to go, and then a blast to the start-finish line. We will see if Eason is able to improve on this time, or whether just setting a banker, or just getting himself set up for another lap. And it looks like, let's find out. This time around, a little bit slower than on the previous lap, and gonna have to go around again. With 4 minutes to go, should have plenty of time to improve on that lap time.
Just hearing word from the garage, the number 21 Camaro, Speedy Bud, has no gas pedal, so that might prove awkward in the formation lap. If they can't get that car started, it'll just sit there on the grid. Hopefully, he won't have to retire the car before his debut race this season. But that is not very good, Kusha.
No, not what you want to hear at all. Hopefully it's just a quick restart of the game or of the software for the wheel. So, yeah, just hopefully able to get that fixed in time. Few other even-numbered cars completing their lap time. Allinson in the 76 at the top, just 200ths off of pole position. Colin Sugg, who the cameras are following here in the Slug Racing Porsche, currently sits in 4th place, around 3.5 tenths out from pole position. Still able to improve on the times if he can keep it within the white lines. Track limits are a big factor here around Imola, with so many tight and unforgiving lines around the corner. This spot in particular, very easy to try to carry as much speed as you want out wide, but those white lines will come into play very quickly. Same with the bottom of the hill here at Aqua Minerale before going to the heavy curbing at the Variante Alta, which you want to cut just right to maximize that lap time, but cut it just too much and it will invalidate the time. And Colin Sugg here executing that perfectly, still on a valid lap as he comes to the final 2 corners, going down the hill, approaching a few cars in front. Hopefully they won't impede him too much if he does catch up to them. Good on the braking zone through the first Ravazza, not running wide into the gravel, cutting the corner pretty well, trail braking very well into the corner. The Mercedes up ahead moving off to the side, getting out of the way of Sugg. We'll see what lap time he can do here as he crosses the line, able to improve the time but doesn't improve the position. Improves by about 1/10, but not able to gain any places from that. Stays in 4th place.
What a nice, decent lap. However, he is not going to gain any places. Looks like he is going to retire from this qualifying session. So John Perez got to race him a little bit last season as he just came in, quite late. So nice to see that his improvement from the back of the grid to about the midfield is definitely going to be definitely going to be a hot prospect this season. According to the Alpine Garage, Porkchop had no wheel either. So I have no clue what's happening in the rookies this season, but like the Bud doesn't have a gas pedal, Porkchop doesn't have a wheel. What's next? Someone's not gonna have a car.
Yeah, anything is really possible, especially with how the start of today has gone. We appreciate everybody's patience for bearing with us for the slight delay at the beginning, but nonetheless able to get the race underway. 30 seconds to go in qualifying. Ryan Eason up to the line in the Camaro, up to 3rd place. 0.13 off of pole position with still time to complete one more lap. Hopefully has enough fuel in the tank to do so, as that Jurassic Racing Camaro is going to roar around one more time. And he is actually going to be the last runner on track. So why don't we ride on board with Ryan for his final lap?
Again, the spotlight seems to shine early on Eason. He's got to find a tenth and a half would give him pole position. But if he just finds, he's got to find just a little bit more than a tenth. to maybe get past that Porsche of the 76 up ahead. He's just got to find a little bit more. Obviously, you can find time through here, down through this downhill section. It's very difficult because you want to carry so much speed. But there's the track limits line. That's the curb. As you go down the hill, you're going to want to take as much speed as you can. But again, the curb and the track limits on the left are going to hurt you. And he's going to run wide, and that's going to end our qualifying session.
Yes, that is in fact gonna do it here for the 20-minute qualifying, split into two between the odds and the evens. And that, in fact, was a pretty good qualifying. I believe the top 10 were separated by less than a second. So very good to see from the rookies putting on quite a good showing at the front and the back. Should be a very tight race for us today. And speaking of the race, let's get to the starting grid of today's race. Qualifying in pole position is Christoph Schenk in that Logitech McLaren at G Challenge number 69. Good result from him. Congratulations for setting the fastest lap. Just behind him was Joe Allenson in the 76 Porsche, just a couple of hundredths off, so they should have a really fun battle at the front of the field. Ryan Eason in the Jurassic Racing, able to snatch third on his final lap attempt as he crossed the line. Just behind is Emmanuel Ramirez in the Costa Rica Racing Team 157 Porsche. Lots of Porsches on the grid today here. 3 in a row, followed by Colin Sugg in the Slug Racing number 34. And then Joan Perez in the GT Marquez number 20 Porsche finishes off that train of 3 Porsches. In seventh place, Moriko Yatanashi, a rookie from last season in the season again in the Nine Tails Racing 153 Aston Martin. In 8th place, Rafael Ortega Pelaez, the 427 Mercedes, the first Mercedes on the grid we have seen. Valerio Martino in the number 111 Porsche in 9th place. And to finish out the top 10 is Mark Sagan in the Mark Sagan number 77 Mercedes. And I'm going to hand off the rest of the grid to you, Tyler.
All right, so we got Matt Hugh in the 53 Chevy there in the V8 Racing. Next up behind him for company is Mark Cooley in the Mercedes AMG 326 MC Racing. And then we have a BMW behind, the only BMW on the grid it seems so far this season, of Shane Sullivan in the 617 Racing. For him, his partner on that grid line is Chris Sanderson in the Go For It Racing, 14th in qualifying. Behind Sullivan, we have the Aston Martin of Dutchy, I do believe, I hope I got that name right, in the Mad Fox Aston Martin 621. And then for company for him, he's got a Janetta beside him in the Fox Tree Racing of Cody Groves. And then you have Spady Bud, hopefully with a gas pedal in his car, prayingly, car number 21 in the Camaro. And then in the back of the grid, for the people who didn't get to qualify, we have Pork Chop P18 in an Alpine, God rest your soul. And then you have Frederick Velez in the Aston Martin Latin Race Sim Race 787.
I would say pretty perfect timing, finishing off our starting grid right as everybody gets underway for the formation lap. Nice and big grid tonight. 19 rookies going to battle it out for 2 races up ahead. 2 20-minute back-to-back races, no pit stop in between, a complete sprint to the finish. Should be about an 11 or 12 lap race, and we will see if the drivers prepared enough fuel, prepared enough tire grip, tire pressures are hopefully correct from their setups, and hopefully they are ready to get going. Spady is moving, so that's a good sign. Hopefully the gas pedal is working and won't get stuck or malfunction throughout the races we've got ahead. Nice and
so
tight.
Far,
go right ahead.
Well, Spady got a gas pedal, which is good. Pork Chop's got a wheel, that's good because he's so far so good. We've seen the drivers and their teams have fixed those technical issues. Is the full form lap new for the rookies? I thought it was just quarters for the rookies and then full for the.
It does appear to be a full one, yeah.
I can't remember. My time from rookies already feels like it's faded away. I only did 4 races. That's how quick. Where are those Morgan predictions? I don't think you want predictions in the rookies. The rookies is almost too difficult to predict because of the because they're all rookies, so the uncertainty is pretty crazy. But I'll give it a shot. I think you'll have Sugg winning this race from P5. I think honestly we'll get an all Porsche podium here. So we'll have Sugg winning. We'll get Alonson in second, and then we'll have Perez third. And I think the Alpine will be last. That's just not a That's not a prediction. That's just a fact. And then I think you'll have the probably finish 9-10 respectively.
Yeah,
9-10-11 respectively.
Yeah, should be a fun action-packed race with the tight grid we have ahead. And just a reminder, if you see a pass or a save that you would like to nominate for the pass/save of the season, make sure to clip it and put it in the Trackalicious Discord, and we will put together a compilation of the best passes and saves from the season. So if you see something you like, make sure to clip it, put it in that channel, and we will see where those clips end up and hopefully have a good fun video at the end of the season for everybody to watch. Drivers rounding out the final corner, getting on to the start-finish curved straight at Imola, lining up in that lovely zipper formation, 2x2x2, all the way down from 1st to 19th place. A bit of a long roll up to the lights, waiting for that green flag to wave to release the 19 rookies for 20 minutes of racing. Rounding the final bend of the main straight, and there goes the green flag. Good start in the back from Ramirez, trying to get a jump on Ryan Eason, who himself has jumped Alonson up into second place, and there's a Ginetta off into the wall, but able to keep it pointed into the correct direction. Good recovery in the back there. Quick battle here we've got between the two Porsches. Ramirez goes through on the inside of the 4th corner, and that is now a Porsche ahead of the fellow Porsche. Joan Perez with a clean start. Moriko Yatanashi as well. Good getaway from all the rookies. No yellow flags in the background. One car starting from the pit lane, able to get rolling. And here we go for 20 minutes of racing.
Definitely so far so good for all these rookies. They haven't seemed to cause any massive incidents yet, which is always good. You always like to see that. And you have Sullivan on the back, it seems, of the car ahead. The standings got all weird there for a second because of the situation. Martino is going to have to defend really good here, but Shane Sullivan does have the inside line, which is going to be very important here, but he's going to keep fighting back. But nope, that's about it. Sullivan's got that all nice and done and handled, so he will move up. Oh, actually, no, that was a battle with a Mercedes. That was Sagan. Sorry, I apologize there, folks. But so far, he is holding that place in P10, so let's see how much farther he can go up this grid order. I'd say he'll probably get as high as 7th.
Yeah, got a good defensive move from the Mercedes, able to keep 10th place, keeping that Mercedes behind. Everybody still just going single file, the rookies just feeling each other out. A bit of gravel kicked up ahead, and there is a bit of side-by-side action between the two Porsches. Now 3 wide is Martino Sugg, and that is the 427 of Ortega Pelaez, trying to benefit from this, moving that Mercedes up into 7th place, picking up 2 places in one corner. Unfortunately, didn't quite pick up the move as Martino dives to the inside, tries to pick up as much slipstream, and there's a bump from behind. Shane Sullivan gives a bit of a bump, and wow, that actually worked out really well. Martino able to gain the position after getting bumped by both of those cars.
Martino actually got bumped by Sullivan from behind, and then he drifted across and then bumped into Ortega. So Ortega kind of helped him out there a little bit just to straighten him out, so that way it actually didn't hurt him all that much. So great move done, it seems. Oh, do we have a little contact? Yep, we had contact in the back there by Ortega. and Martino, and that kind of created that weird effect where everyone just kind of seemed to bunch up and slow down, which offered the opportunity for Sullivan to actually get to P8 now. So he's seemingly on the go here, it seems, and Sullivan is leading what I like to call the best of the rest of the pack, because 7th place is way up ahead now.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it's not. No, it's not. He is 7th. He is 7th. So P6 of Yatanashi is going to be looking in his mirror soon, because Sullivan's got the pace, it seems.
Yeah, got a good pace, doesn't want to drive in the mirrors too much with the company he's got behind. A bit of an unfortunate incident to see behind for Martino after pulling off that incredible save into the first chicane at Imola. But unfortunately getting a bit of contact, getting that car spun around and not rejoining. And there's an incident up ahead. That's the 2 Porsches. That was Ramirez getting involved with, I'm not sure, don't want to blame, but let's just check the replay and see the car numbers, see exactly what went on here. Approaching the final 2 corners, the first Ravazza, the Porsche just running wide in the back, can't quite brake onto the gravel, and then they make contact again once they go into the gravel. Unfortunate incident, just not enough room for the black and maroon Porsche to go too wide into the final corner, and Ramirez getting picked up in that incident and now has to battle back from 9th place.
Well, there went my prediction of an all Porsche 1, 2, 3 there, as Joan Perez also now goes off it. So all the Porsches that were fighting up in the top of the grid, you had Alonso, you had Perez, and you had Ramirez, all have fallen out of the top 5 in 1 lap-ish or so. So my predictions have already gone up in flames. So these Porsches are going to have to do a lot of work, it seems, and Yamtanashi is up into 3rd place with Sullivan already up into 4th. What is happening right now?
Yeah, Sullivan into 4th. Lots of incidents, just taking a lot of cars out. Multiple drivers having to go off track, and Shane Sullivan just able to keep it clean, maintain the race of the BMW within the white lines, and silently moving that car up into 4th place. Likewise is Yatanashi up from the start, up from their starting position of, I believe, was 7th place. So good results so far from Yatanashi, moving it up to the podium places. And the chat is saying that the prediction curses live on, so they love to hear it, Tyler.
I don't think they want to hear it. Allison's going, let's go Sanderson. Sanderson's in P17 right now. He's about 2 seconds back of Martino, so hopefully he can get it going there. And then we're going to have Perez here go on Ramirez, but Ramirez defends in the middle of the track, takes the inside, and then off Martinez goes. Good defending there from the Porsche as we have more Porsche on Porsche action. But Perez has to be careful because there is a pork chop behind him that, might I say, is looking mighty delicious right now.
Yeah, that Alpine is certainly not in last place like the predictions were said. Up in the top 10 at the moment, up so many positions from the start is Pork Chop in that teal Alpine, right on the tail of Perez in the 20 Porsche, trying to battle it out and move that Alpine into a more higher scoring points position. And Yatanashi currently setting the fastest lap of the race in 3rd place. Gonna try to close that gap of 4.6 seconds to the front runners who have slightly pulled away. Schenk has a nearly 2-second gap to Ryan Eason in that number 2 Camaro, and then about 5 seconds to Yatanashi, and a good 3-car battle here between Sug, Porkchop, and Perez.
Alright, so we have 3 hydrates, one from One Big League, the second from Coffee Racer, and then 3rd from Octane. I don't have a drink near me, but I'm gonna have to go find one because that's 3 hydrates, and I honestly might drown from that. So I might go find something to drink after this. But Yanton actually has fastest lap right now, it seems. So they're definitely on a roll from continuing their momentum from last season. And I do believe we had, that was Groves that had a spin a little ways back. I saw it on the yellow flag. So Sanderson and Cooley will move up one place each, respectively, from that incident. And I think, was that a driver in the pits or was that a retirement?
You know, I'm not quite sure what happened there. The game just kind of glitched to somebody in the pit lane, but it seems like everything is still rolling and going well for the drivers we were following here, with Porkchop, Perez, and Sugg closing in on that Alpine. And yeah, not quite sure, maybe just a quick little weird game glitch. And a little bit of action in the background there, as that is Matt Hugh in the 53 Camaro running onto the grass on the inside. Not quite sure what happened there, and the 21 of Spady Bud is unfortunately under a yellow flag at turn 1. But this is Rafael Ortega Pelaez in the middle of a bit of a battle here, trying to catch up to Shane Sullivan in that BMW ahead, with the Mercedes behind of Sagan for company, with Hugh not too far back, falling a little bit back after... Oh, goodness me!
Ooh, that was close.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Sagan.
That was a really close spin there, as Sagan almost took out Ortega there, but manages to just keep it out from behind. That'll be gained places for a few drivers, as Ortega now has to wait, or sorry, not Ortega, Sagan has to wait almost the entirety of that back grid before he can get back on track safely.
Yeah, that car was turned around in a bit of an unfortunate situation, and that big train of cars was rolling through, like you said, so just electing to wait a little bit and safely rejoining the track surface. And like you said, also, lots of drivers going to be benefiting from that off, with lots of people gaining position, including Porkchop and Sugg, who now move into 9th and 10th respectively. And both of these drivers trying to go through the Tamburello chicane at Imola, avoiding Spady Bud, who is still parked on the exit there in the 21 Mercedes, or sorry, 21 Camaro.
He's off track right now, so at least that's the good thing. I don't know if he's games glitch where he can't return to garage or something. He's just going to sit there, and he's going to sit there a while. There are no safety cars, so unlike F1, so you will not see the safety car. Sugg may be starting to get a little frustrated why he can't get past this tiny little Alpine in front of him. It looks like he might try a move here on the end as we go to rear cam here, and just showing how close Sugg is to Porkchop. Now, Sugg, if you want to marinate this Porkchop a little bit, you really want to get the spices, you really want to get the sauce right, and then as soon as you have that chance, you just take a bite, you go for that overtake, and hopefully it'll be delicious and it won't be raw.
Yep, Porkchop hopefully lining up a good move here, exiting the Variante Alta at the top of the hill. Final 2 corners to go, a big braking zone after this little downhill kink. Very hard to get the car slowed down in time as they go down the hill, the momentum all getting transferred to the front, but good driving from the two there. Porkchop getting really close in the braking zone, but the Alpine having a really good exit and just pulling away on the straights, despite not quite having the straight line speed advantage of the Porsche.
We have a really tight battle up in front with Sullivan, Ortega, Matthew, and then maybe a little bit in a few minutes Ramirez there. But right now, it's currently as it stands right now. You got Ortega in a little bit of a sandwich here. And this always makes me interested. What do you do here? Do you attack or you defend? Because it looks like that Matthew might go try up the inside here, it seems, but nope. Just not enough of overspeed, as we have a yellow flag again for the 77 of Sagan, but we're going to stay along with this battle. Ortega is in a difficult situation here. Do you attack or do you defend? Do you attack Sullivan up ahead and risk getting overtaken by Matthew behind as he dips a wheel outside of track limits? Or do you defend and then risk Sullivan running away from you? It's a very precarious situation, but I think Ortega's going to have a little bit of help here with Ramirez taking at Matthew. Ooh, here comes Ortega, and here comes Ortega. I think Sullivan's going to do just enough to get ahead before we get to that nasty chicane.
Oh, and they tried to go side by side.
It.
Yeah, he went for it, absolutely sending it on the inside of the first part, and good respect from Sullivan, but now they're going to try to go 3 wide into this kink downhill corner, and that is Hugh gaining a position on the Mercedes of Pelaez, and unfortunately a bit of a takeout between the Camaro, and I believe that was the BMW of Sullivan, so all of that work up from 4th now down to the back of this train, but that was a crazy 4-car battle.
I did not expect Ortega to send that. I was not ready for that at all. I was thinking, oh, he's just going to wait behind. And here we have Ramirez going to try up the inside, maybe. Nope, he is going to back out of that and just wait to see if he can get Ortega in a different place. He actually might get him on the exit here, it seems, as they're going to go side by side. Oh, actually, we're going to have Matthew get involved in this again as well. This is just an absolute battle to just try and get into the top 5 on its own, as that's actually going to be... Oh, here comes Ramirez on the inside. Ortega went off a little bit, but that is not going to produce for Ramirez just yet. The marination still is not ready yet. You're going to have to wait at least 2 hours. Scott saying that's Shane driving, not me, apparently.
I mean, I would hope so. I would hope he's not typing from the car while he's involved in a really heavy battle in the top 10. Sullivan back to 7th place. Ortega Pelaez up to 4th. Ramirez recovering well after that incident into the second to last corner, recovering up to 5th, starting in 4th, dropping down into around 9th place, and now back up into 5th, but has Hugh for company behind and trying to catch up to the 427 ahead. Chat mentioned earlier that Yatanashi is gaining on the front 2 and in fact setting more fastest laps of the race, in doing so with a 152.145 being the fastest. Now it's just 1.6 seconds between 3rd and 2nd place, so the podium is still up for grabs. Will the real S. Sullivan please stand up? And I agree, it's getting a little bit confusing. We need to clear this out. Somebody needs to put either an SH in front of the name or an SC. We need to figure it out. But nonetheless, good to see Sullivan still in the race, just pretty close to this battle still, so with a few decent lap times, should get right on the back of Hugh yet again to catch up to this train. A little bit of mistakes up ahead, taking a few of those sausages a little bit heavily, as Ramirez is really taking those sausage curbs, pulling that Porsche up onto 2 wheels.
This is going to be an intense battle with 4 minutes left to go in race 1. I honestly agree with Octane. We plaster their names on the side of the car so that way we know as broadcasters. And ooh, is that a little bit of a tap from behind from Ramirez on Ortega? And that incident that happened between Matthew and Sullivan, honestly, that was a kind of through goes Hamilton moment there for Ortega. He kind of just avoided all of it and just went, yeah, off he goes. And that is a big off by both Ramirez and Matthew, especially later in the races with the tires being as hard as they are. You're going to see a lot of drivers go wide, so we might get some drive-thrus there to end the race. Seeing them jump the curves makes me so scared they're going to have a Leclerc moment and just go off. But right now we have a little bit of a lull period. Right now it's just Ortega and Ramirez. Matthew, Sullivan, and Perez all kind of dropping back above the seconds as there goes Ramirez down the inside of his, quote, championship rival. And that is going to be a position gain for Ramirez. A beautiful inside move.
Yeah, that was absolutely perfect. Just sending it on the inside of a really heavy braking zone, getting a good run out of the exit. We've got a yellow flag behind between Sagan, again unfortunately getting involved in another incident, but another 20 minutes up ahead for Sagan to recover and do another fantastic drive. If they can manage that. Emmanuel Ramirez moving up into 4th place of the Costa Rica Racing Team 157 Porsche. Still has the 427 behind for company, taking a really defensive line into the Villeneuve chicane, jumping the curbs once again, and the Mercedes has a really good run down the outside. Again, Ramirez taking a really defensive stance, locking that Porsche down the inside line, and now they're going to attempt to go side by side. Ramirez getting a good speed, good override out of the corner, and not giving Ramirez any sort of chances to catch up. And speaking of catching up, behind Sullivan now, pretty close to the tail of Hugh, who is also closing on Pelaez, who is closing on Ramirez, who himself is experimenting with the track limits a lot, going wide on a few corners, but knowing that there's just 2 minutes left in the race, you can spare those track limits if you have them, trying to defend from not just 1 but 2, maybe even 3 cars behind, and you don't want to make too many of those mistakes, as that is going to give the position to Pelaez, and in fact Hugh is going to jump through as well. 2 positions lost for Ramirez in 1 corner, unfortunately jumping the curbs a little bit too much. The Porsche getting unsettled, and there's a tap from Sullivan onto Ramirez, forcing him into the gravel in the penultimate corner, and having all that hard work to do once again, flashing the lights, getting bumped from that 617, and we heard it that this will be the final lap of the race.
Thank you, Ramirez is flashing Sullivan. Give me that place back, and yeah, Tanashi's actually right on the back. So the battle for P2 very much not over, and then you have the 69 McLaren up ahead. One mistake from him, one mistake that could cost him the race, and this could end up being a battle for the race lead. How intent wrecking coming? God, I hope not. Don't really stand for that in Trackalicious, and yeah, Tanashi's going to try their best to make Eason make a mistake here. This is the final lap, so if there's any move that you can do safely, mind you, now is the time to do it. This is the opportunity when the spotlight is on, when all the pressure is mounted onto the final lap, as we almost get close to quadruple zeros here in this first race. I think Eason might hold on, but there's still a few corners left to go, Kuja.
Yeah, just few corners to go. One really big, heavy braking zone for the Aston to try to make a move and try to get some good speed, but drifting out of the corner, out of the Variante Alta will not help Yatanashi in the matter. Eason able to pull a bit of a gap now, more than half a second, and that is gonna ruin Yatanashi's chances of getting a move done in the braking zone. Eason handling the final 2 corners perfectly, getting a good over speed out of the Camaro, out of the final corner, and to the line. And this is Christoph Schenk having a commanding performance from pole position, leading every lap of the race, finishing in first place in the 69 McLaren. Good drive from Schenk, Eason, and Yatanashi across the line. Fantastic result from Yatanashi, moving up 4 or 5 places from their starting position. And this battle is picking up at the back.
Oh, that's going to be close to the line!
Perez is going to take 6th place, Ramirez 7th, Sullivan does take 5th place, a good result from Sullivan up in front. Ortega Pelaez takes 4th place. Behind, still more battles going on. Lots of drivers really close together. It's hard to keep up with everything. Suggen 8th, Porkchop in 9th, Allenson 10th, Saunderson 11th, Dutchy 12th, Hugh dropping back from that battle. Oh no, did Hugh run out of fuel?
Is
that what Hugh? Oh no! No! No.
Someone give him a push, please! Someone push him! No, that's so unfortunate. He's so close to the line. Oh no, that's heartbreaking. I haven't seen miscalculation of fuel like this since when I commentated DRL and Team on the Rush had fuel problems. Oh, he's so close to the line.
Oh my gosh.
That's heartbreaking. Oh no.
You can see the checkered flag waving up ahead, but unfortunately, it's not real life. He can't jump out of the car and push it across the line, so he is just stranded there, and unfortunately, just 1 liter short. Just 100 or so meters, just a football field away from being able to cross the line. We saw Hugh battling up at the top in the top 5 at points for the 53 Camaro, and unfortunate to see that happen on the final corner. But nonetheless, congrats to our top 3, Shink, Eason, Yatanashi, and all of the other finishers behind, providing us with some absolutely fantastic action across the line. 0.006 seconds between Allenson and Porkchop across the line. So good on Porkchop to defend 9th place from Allenson, charging back up the field after qualifying pretty high up. And we have racing once again following that first 20-minute race. Tyler, what was your favorite moment from that first race?
It has to be the running out of fuel. It has to be it's a close second to Ortega throwing it into the chicane when I least expected that. But like him running out of fuel, that camera shot of him running out of fuel and the checkered flag waving in front of him, like Isaac Hadjar crashed in the Australian Grand Prix on the formation lap, and the tears just started flowing for him, and I felt bad. That I'd actually just I wouldn't leave the car. I would just sit there and I'd cry because that's just so unfortunate. Like feelings like that cannot be created without that specific happening, and it's so unfortunate. But why don't we run through the grid and well, we ran through it once. You want to run through it again?
I was just going to take this time to mention once again, if you did see a pass or a save that you liked, plenty of good opportunities for that pass and save of the season. We saw that moment in turn 1 where the Porsche got spun around and then recovered and actually was able to get in the position into turn 1. So call that a pass and a save of the season all in one. And then again, like you mentioned, that send on the Variante Alta at the top of the hill was absolutely fantastic, absolutely timed to perfection, good respect from both drivers, leaving enough room to get it done, get that move done. And yeah, so if you like something, clip it, put it in the Discord, and we will see what the end of the season brings us in terms of what is voted on the pass or the save of the season. And yeah, same grid as we had for the start of race 1. Nobody starting from the pit lane, no quali bans. It is the start of the season. Hopefully, nobody's carrying any significant penalties over to the next season.
Yeah, I would agree. It is the start of race 1, and I think if anything was really that needed to be carried over that bad, it would have been pretty bad last season. But a new clean slate for all the drivers. Definitely, we'll see how race 2 goes. Race 2 tends to be, I feel like, a little bit easier because like you've had race 1 to get the jitters out of the way. Now race 2, people might start sending it a little bit more. People might be kind of like trying to just like relax a little bit, the nerves. Matthew is a guarantee. Honestly, if I was Matthew, I'd just throw 120. Like I would rather be so fat with fuel than to not have a situation where I ran out of fuel. And hopefully he will learn from his situation. He's actually not even here.
Oh, I'm not sure if he was aware that there was a second race going on, maybe. Hopefully we'll be able to rejoin as there is Roman at the back of the field joining for race 2 in the number 7 Aston Martin. So a bit of a shakeup from the start at the back of the grid. And yeah, like you said, not seeing that Camaro on the grid at the moment. So hopefully not a technical issue and is able to rejoin before race 2 gets underway for the green flag. And of course, if you are interested in joining these races, sign-ups are open on SimGrid for the Rookies and the Open Championship held on Mondays. And also a fun prize is available for the GT4 rookies and the Open Series from Next Level Racing. They got a haptic feedback racing chair insert from Next Level Racing, and the prize will be awarded at random to the drivers who finish the majority of the races of the season. I believe it is 7 out of the 8 races, so make sure you sign up, join the action on Mondays for GT4 action in ACC with Trackalicious.
Yeah, come join us. We'll be doing commentary all seasons, so we'll get to, hopefully, if you get the podiums, we'll get to interview you, and I think it'll be a blast. Come join us. It'll be fun. Honestly, like, drive any car you want, and we'll get you going. It'll be a blast. So the form lap here as we go. Speedy Bud has elected to do another pit lane start. That Camaro and him do not get along right now. It's not a love-hate relationship. We're pretty sure it's there.
Yeah, hopefully those gas pedal problems aren't persisting, and we'll be able to see Spady Bud participate in the races in the coming races in the season. But unfortunate start for Spady Bud, not quite able to get underway for the first race. But good to see Spady Bud trying to get those issues resolved and being persistent, staying in the race, starting from the pits, but nonetheless trying to go racing around Imola for another 20 minutes of action. The GT4 rookies have already finished one race, Shink finishing on top with Isin and Yatanashi finishing on the podium behind. Good racing from everybody. A few minor incidents, but everybody's still able to keep it going, keep it rolling, and good recoveries from a few drivers getting back into the top 10. And yeah, it will be fun to see what sort of action Race 2 provides now that the drivers have had a bit of a chance to feel each other out, learn how they race, and provide some more intense on-track action for us here today in Race 2 of the Round 1 of the GT4 Rookies Spring Season. The final preparations underway. We are in zipper formation, 2 by 2 by 2, first to 19th. Once again, 19 drivers on the grid. Race 2, 20 minutes. One final kink to go on this start-finish straight, curved main straight at Imola. And off we go for 20 minutes of racing. The green flag waves, and again a fantastic start from the Porsche behind of Ramirez, trying to make it go 3 wide into turn 1, but just not quite enough room for that little Porsche to fit. Oh, and there's carnage down in the back. Oh, and there's a massive last crash.
Massive lap 1 incidences. I understood that people were going to be a little bit more aggressive now that it was race number 2, but I didn't think we'd have actual carnage. My goodness, there's cars strewed all over turns 1, 2, and 3, and it's just an absolute mayhem. Avius Scott says every time in race 2, hands on head. And currently, as it stands right now, we have Ramirez followed by the 69 of McLaren, Sugg, Ortega, Perez, Yantanashi in 6th, Sagan, Duchy, Sanderson, Martino, Porkchop, Velez, Cooley, Roman, Allison, Sullivan, Eason, Groves, and Bud is still in the pit lane. I'm pretty sure he's going to be done for the rest of this rookie session, which is unfortunate because he is a fairly good driver. And that was, I do believe, the 621 of Duchy that explored the track limits there. He's going to come under attack from Martino, and I do believe Martino has, yep, he got that pass done clean and clear going through that chicane. And that was just absolute chaos. So Sanderson might lose another place here to Porkchop as he explores the grass on the left-hand side. Porkchop taking all the speed and carrying the momentum. However, Sanderson is just going to pull into the inside, not fight that, and Porkchop is going to gain another place into the top 10.
Yeah, once again, another great start from Porkchop, not stop. And there's an Aston behind spinning. Will Roman be able to keep it out of the wall? Oh, he was, but then he tried to spin and actually hit the wall a little bit, now hitting it twice. unfortunate incident behind. And yeah, an unfortunate incident at the start, but everybody's still pointing in relatively the right direction. Ramirez able to get the jump from 4th place all the way up to 1st from the start, with Sug behind, Pelez, Schenk, Yatanashi, and this is Joan Perez in 6th place, trying to get past the Aston of Yatanashi in front, going over the curbs a little bit heavily. And Porkchop still battling away, losing a place or 2 now, back to 11th. Saunderson able to get the number 18 Porsche up a place on the Alpine, and hopefully we will see some more action from the Alpine. Good start from Porkchop in the first 3 minutes, 17 to go. We'll see how high that Alpine can get in race 2.
That was interesting in lap 1. There was an attempt to go 3 wide there, and I don't think it worked out for I think it was Eason, Allison, and maybe Perez. It was one of the Porsches. I know that for a fact. Maybe it was Ramirez because he got on through. But as it stands right now, currently, Yatanashi trying to do their best to get back up into the podium places, and that's Sullivan that's gone off. In the background there, cutting the track, I believe so. I think he was trying to go for an overtake, or he tried to go for an overtake and just missed the chicane completely. He can't overtake there doing that, cutting the chicane, so he had to give the spot up to Easton, and I'm just waiting for the ACC times on the left-hand side to update, so that way I can see who's behind him. I do believe that is Allison. He didn't lose a place to them. And so far, no other changes. Yantanashi's right on the back of the 69 McLaren. 0.108 according to those times, but the McLaren looks like it's not as close. Oh, there's the McLaren actually in the dirt! So, I'd say with just absolute certainty that I couldn't see them, but it turns out they just hit the grass. What happened? Oh, they just missed the braking zone, and off into the gravel they go. Unfortunate for that McLaren, but as they've lost numerous amounts of places, it seems, down all the way into P8.
Yeah, the race winner from last time, Christoph Schenk, the pole sitter, now struggling a little bit with that McLaren, down in 8th place now. Yatanashi just sending a move on the inside, and Schenk, I think, was just being a little respectful, leaving the room, but just miscalculated the braking zone and having to cut the first chicane completely and losing a few places in the process. Still, that McLaren rolling around on track in a good position still in the top 10.
Matthew has joined back in, but with 5 minutes to go, it's kind of a fleeting attempt, sadly, and I feel bad for them. But it looks like Sug's going to challenge Ramirez. And again, 3rd place. This time with Ortega also has the fastest lap, so maybe that's the secret. Just hide out in P3 and wait your chance for the top 2 to have a mistake and just keep your tires fresh.
Yeah, 100%. The battles of the Porsches is going to continue with Sug and Ramirez setting pretty similar lap times, with Ramirez being the lead car of the 2. Ortega not letting them breathe, though, keeping them honest within a second. We see the Mercedes approaching in the back with Yatanashi, the fastest lap setter of race 1, in 4th place, 1.6 seconds back. Sagan with a few offs in race 1 in the 77, keeping it on track at the moment. Joan Perez, though, trying to send a move on the inside, sending the Mercedes of Sagan a little bit wide and having to give that position up. Let's just see if we can take a look what happened here. Perez looking down the inside, the Mercedes cuts across and not able to get the car slowed down in time, and then oversteering a little bit wide into the grass on the exit, and not able to maintain the traction, but able to keep it on track. And there's a bit of a bump from Mark Sagan and stops the car from spinning right around, but unfortunately he's now going to have to wait for all of the peloton to move through before getting that Mercedes up and running.
Still just sitting there menacingly, probably thinking about what decision he made next. He's going to return to pits. I do believe that might be his day done. And is Matthew out on track right now? It says he's not. It says he's not in the pits. Is he out on track?
He just rolled out.
He is. He's just in the back. Oh, so Oh, that is the car of Sullivan. He's had a spin, and so he's lost now places as well. Massive. The things keep changing, it seems. That, like, nothing seems to be set in stone here in this rookies race too. It's just utter chaos. Like, race 1 had some moments, but this race has just topped it all. And what's happened here to Sullivan? Is he's just run wide and tried to brake, and he's braking while turning, and the car can't do that, and he's drifted and lost 2 positions because of it.
Yeah, good recovery, though, I must say, from Sullivan to hold the brakes and keep the car off the racing line to allow the competitors behind to race through cleanly. And there was a yellow flag for Hugh in the 53, and he is back to the pit lane. And then 2 Camaros hanging out in the pit garage, the 53 and 21, keeping each other company. Sugg able to get through into the lead of the race. Ramirez now in second. Ortega Pelaez close behind. And there is a fantastic 4-car battle for the lead as Yatanashi we see coming into the picture in 4th place, setting really good lap times, has the fastest lap of the race with a 51.870, and the 2 Porsches are battling out in the front, a bit of a gap to the Mercedes of Pelaez, and then Yatanashi closing the gap ever so slightly, lap by lap, gonna put the pressure on the podium sitters very, very soon.
Absolute masterclass by Yatanashi right now. They are absolutely putting in work. I think the smart play is to just wait behind, see if 1, 2, and 3 do anything to hurt themselves. And so it dives up to the inside by Ramirez, and that's going to take out P1 and P2 as through goes Yatanashi up into P2. Ortega benefits as well as the new race leader. What in the world was that? Ramirez with a interesting dive up the inside, hurting both him and I believe that was Sugg. And that is just, I don't know if that's a move you really want to make there. And that's allowed Joan Perez to take up a position as well. Oh, where? I'm waiting for the sheet to update. That's why I'm like, wait, hold on. This doesn't make sense. And then, there's another yellow flag. That is for the 18, and that is Saunderson in the gravel at the end there, losing a number of places as he just spins the car. Oh, he manages to stay off the racing line, backs up, allows Shane Sullivan and the rest of the backfield there to go on through. And yeah, that was insane what has just happened here. Sugg, the race leader, now down in what was the race leader, now down into 7th position, and Yatanashi has a chance to fight for this race win less than a second behind Ortega Perez.
Yeah, super close at the front, and Yatanashi setting the fastest lap of the race, pushing that Mercedes off of the track, exploring the track limits, maybe even picking up a track limit violation penalty. And if you pick up 3 track limit violations, that is completely fine, but on the 4th violation, the game will award the driver a drive-through penalty, which will need to be served within 3 laps time, or else. Dun dun dun. But yeah, certainly don't want to be picking up a drive-through in a 20-minute sprint race, and a pit lane at Imola not too long, luckily, but still want to avoid that as it'll cost you right around 30 seconds of race time, and certainly plenty of places with how tight this rookies grid has been so far through the first 2 races. Race 1 providing a lot of great side-by-side action, lots of great overtakes. Race 2 a little bit more spread out, the moves are a little bit more calculated and just picking their time, waiting for mistakes to happen up front, as Yatanashi is going to line up a move down the inside, but not quite close enough to do it on this lap. Pelaez really confident on the brakes into turn number 1 or 2, depending on how you look at it. Sometimes that kink at the beginning of the start-finish straight, quote-unquote, is considered a corner. So Yes, the first real heavy braking zone as Pelaez runs wide, dipping a wheel into the gravel. That's not gonna help the lap time, but only gonna help Yatanashi close the gap in front. A bit of a gap opening up to Ramirez, 2.5 seconds, and then 3.5 seconds to Perez in fourth, with another 2 seconds to the 69 McLaren in fifth place. Yatanashi still trying to line up a move on the inside, but not quite close enough. Yet again pushing Pelaez off of the track. Fighting for the race win, trying to defend is the Mercedes in front, but Yatanashi having a really good pace around here, trying to steal that race win from the Mercedes in front.
Eason Cooley are having a righteous battle right now, it seems, behind. Like, it is close. It was closer in the previous slot times. There are drivers that are carrying around some little bit of damage, especially after the mega of lap 1 in so far. We'll keep an eye on Yatanashi's attempt for the race win against Ortega. It is just, there's still 7 minutes left to go, and it feels like we've had like an entire action of like a 50-minute race. Like, it's been absolutely insane the amount of like incidences and overtakes and saves. Like, race 2 has been way more eventful than race 1, and like, it's still not even over yet. We still have 6 minutes. We're still not even down the home stretch.
Yeah, 100%. And like we've seen, a lot of kind of self-forced mistakes can easily happen in these races, so you still want to keep driving all the way to the end. You never know what could happen. Dipping a wheel into the grass or into the gravel can force the car to spin in a completely random direction. Well, not a random direction, but you know what I mean. It's hard to stop it once it's started, and you could end up facing heavy damage with the front end or the back end into the wall, and that would be race done. But hopefully we don't see that from any of the rookies in the last 6 minutes. And a good battle here for 8th, 9th, and 10th between Dutchy, Eason, and Cooley. Eason involved in that lap 1 incident we saw at the beginning of race 2. Good recovery back into the top 10. More than likely carrying a pretty good bit of damage on that Jurassic Racing Camaro, but still in the race, trying to reel in the 621 Aston Martin in front. Moriko Yatanashi still behind Pelaez for the race lead, pulling away from Ramirez, who is in turn pulling away from Perez. But Perez is coming under pressure from the race 1 winner, the 59 McLaren, getting involved in the action now, trying to take 4th place away from the Porsche up in front. And good to see Schink still in the race after a few incidents, dropping them back to 8th place, but still up into 5th now and on the tail of the Porsche in front.
Schink definitely has the opportunities. We have a yellow flag. That was the 326 of Cooley. Yep, he's gone off wide. I wonder what happened. He must have just missed the braking zone, especially to end up there. That is an interesting place to have ended up. So what happens here? So they just go, oh, they just miss. Oh, wait, no, they don't.
Oh!
Everything's fine. Oh, that's what happened. So you had a little bit of an incident up ahead. Yeah, it was just a reaction. There goes Dr. Porkchop through as he gains 3 places because of that incident.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Aston jumping the curbs and not able to control it on the landing, hitting the Camaro of Eason, who in turn hit the Mercedes of Cooley, but still able to keep the cars rolling out on track with just 4 minutes left in the race. Anything can happen, as we have seen here. Porsche on Porsche battle. This is Chris Saunderson trying to get into 11th place past Allinson. We see the front of that Porsche in 11th carrying a pretty significant amount of damage involved in that lap 1 incident with Eason, but still in the race. Go Saunderson. We've got some cheers in the chat, and we will follow on board with the Go For It Racing Porsche number 18 sitting in 12th place, keeping company to the car in front, running a little bit wide once again. We've seen it from so many drivers at the top of the hill there, just running wide, risking picking up a track limit penalty, but the all-important track position still reigns king around Imola, where it is possible to get a pass done, as we've seen quite a few drivers do, but it's not the easiest to do unless you're carrying a pretty big speed advantage. And with the Porsche fighting the Porsche, at the moment it seems pretty evenly matched.
Morocco's actually dropped a little bit back from Ortega. I think they're just prepping a move as we approach almost the final lap of this race. There's about 2 laps to go, and this is the time you want to send it, but obviously you want to send it safely. Of course, you don't want to do a move that risks your safety and the driver in front. It is on the overtaking driver, and I think Allison either touched the wall or did too much of the inside there, and that's allowed Sanderson to gain the place on Allison and an overtake done. Oh, that was almost 2 wheels of a flip there, but Sanderson managing to hold on just fine as we switch to the battle for the race win. Jan Tanashi running out of time to get places on Ortega, and Ortega just seems all over the road right now.
Yeah, Ortega certainly feeling the pressure with what will certainly be 1 lap to go as they cross the line. Yatanashi just trying to stay as close as possible, be right in that rear view mirror, and be ready to make a move when the time is right, with 1 lap to go of race 2 in round 1 at Imola. For the new season of the GT4 rookies, so much action already. Really looking forward to what the rest of the season will have in store. Yeah, if the races keep going like this, we should be in for a treat through the 8 rounds we have up ahead of us. And of course, you are more than welcome to still sign up and join for the remaining rounds on SimGrid. So yeah, well, more than welcome to join if you are interested. And yeah, sign up on SimGrid, join the Discord, do all the good stuff. Moriko Yatanashi lining up a move into turn 1, and Ortega just cuts that opportunity completely off. Doesn't give a nose at all to the Aston Martin behind, and keeps the race lead for now with fewer corners to go. Yatanashi also feeling the pressure a little bit, running a little bit onto the sausage curbs, jumping the Aston Martin onto 2 wheels, not ideal for grip, and catching up to the driver in front.
She had a little bit of the moment, I think, in the so they're now down all the way into 14th. Jan Tanashi looking for a move here. Ortega exploring the track as actually we're being rated, and we will focus on that rate shortly. Jan Tanashi is doing their damnedest to try. They might have run out of time. It doesn't look like they're close enough to dive into the Val d'Alto chicane. Maybe we see a dive, but I don't think. Nope, that's not going to happen, as Ortega's going to take this very carefully, and they run wide over the curbs. They both do, and I think that is going to be the end of that, I believe, as we have the 69 McLaren go a little bit wide over the curb, and Joe Perez goes over the curbs. Sugg is right behind. He can benefit from both of these mistakes. Sugg's definitely going to try. He's going to definitely keep that McLaren in his sights. Where's the McLaren going to go? He's going to go up the inside. Perez defends the inside. There's a tap there as the 69 McLaren goes wide. Sugg goes through. What a sequence of events, as Sugg's going to take P5 on a simple mistake by the McLaren. Ortega will take first. Jan Tanashi second. Ramirez third. Perez 4th, Sugg 5th, and the 69 McLaren 6th, followed by Martino in 7th.
Yeah, really good ending there. Thank you for the raid, IB Schofield Racing. Much appreciated. Hopefully your stream went well. Welcome to some GT4 action in ACC. We've got the rookies finishing race 2, a 20-minute race. This is Ryan Eason crossing the line in 8th place. Porkchop up ahead in 7th. Allenson behind in 9th. Cooley 10th. Sullivan in 11th. After a bit of an action-packed race from Sullivan, able to keep that car rolling and finishing in 11th. Dutch Archie behind, crossing the line. Velez in 12th. Saunderson gonna finish in the pit lane, it looks like. Unfortunate for the 18 after making a really good move. And we are following here with Cody Groves in the Ginetta, rounding a few corners now. And on to that start-finish straight curve, however you want to call it, around Imola to the checkered flag to finish 13th in the lone Ginetta on the grid of the rookies. And one more driver to go. That is Conton Roman in the number 7 Aston Martin, joining for race 2, unable to join for race 1. But good to see the blue and yellow liveried Aston Martins on the grid. We saw so many of them last season. Good to see them back again for another season. And that is the final car to take the checkered flag of race 2 for the rookies. So much fun racing for us today, Tyler.
Oh my, what? That race 2 was so actually, that was insane. I can't wait to get to these interviews here, and we'll find out once the standings go up in the rookies. If any rookies wants to be interviewed, put yourself into the green room, and we will pull you in as we go, as we get ready for the open. The GT4 Open, which is going to be, in fact, up next once we get through the interviews and once we get through the endings of the rookies. And yeah, no, that was an absolute blast. Race 1 was kind of like a nice slow appetizer, and then you just got a 70-out steak for your entree here. That was insane. As we have Eason in the green room waiting.
Let's go ahead and pull in Ryan Eason here. Oh my goodness, there are so many things open here. There we go. Here we go. Let's see if we can chat with Ryan here.
Hey Ryan, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad. Exciting race there for race number 1. Not so nice for race 2. How do you feel about your race finish?
The first race I was ecstatic because I'm used to being 10th and 15th, so I'm just glad I got my first top 3. Second race, I didn't realize there was someone next to me when I corrected, so.
I mean, it is unfortunate. There was a little bit of a 3 wide situation that kind of affected you a little bit, which is unfortunate. But how do you feel about race 1 and race 2 so far? Like, are you excited? Are you excited for the rest of the season? Like, give me your feelings overall about today.
I think I'm really happy with my performance today. Shows that I've actually competed up front, which I've been kind of doubting since I've started, but now I've got better. So.
Kuja, anything from you?
Yeah, just talk us through a little bit about race 2. What's it like recovering from the back of the field, knowing that you qualified so high? What is the mentality after an incident like that in lap 1?
I was like mad at myself because I knew I was the reason why, but I was like, oh, now I can actually have some racing going on, because race 1 I was just by myself pretty much, except for the last lap with Yatanashi. But I actually gotta have some fun passing people, and so.
Yeah, always good to see. Good to see some overtakes on track. Thanks for joining us, Ryan. We're gonna pull in Christoph Schenk now, and yeah, once again, congratulations on the podium finish, and good luck for the rest of the season, Ryan.
All right. Thank you. See ya.
And we have our race winner, Christoph Schenk, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If not, let me know. And congratulations on the pole position and the race win of race 1.
Yeah, thank you. It is Schenke, but
Schenke,
you're close.
got it.
It is close. Yeah, it's fun to be back here. I've done this a couple of times before, but then get busy with work and life, and so I decided to do it again. And I used to use the Alpine which now is unfortunately so underpowered that I decided to go with the McLaren. And man, what a difference!
Definitely a different. I mean, who would want to drive an Alpine? Like honestly, it's. But
The Alpine, the Alpine used to be like two ACC updates ago. It used to be the fastest car on the grid for the GT4s, and it is a hell of fun to drive. But yeah, unfortunately, it got bopped into oblivion. So
take us through race one. There it was kind of easy for you. Race one, there wasn't really a lot of trouble. You just had to stay in P1 the entire time, and then you kind of just went off on your own merry way. Explain that.
yeah, it was. So the funny thing was, right at the beginning of qualifying, I noticed that my inputs were kind of weird, brake and gas. So I realized that I only had either no throttle, 50% or 100%, and then the same with the brakes. So I was like, okay, I got to get up front because otherwise I'm not, I'm not going to survive. Which you saw in race 2. So yeah, I was just on my merry way. I didn't have to worry about anybody, and it was just kind of like hot lapping, which was good. So I was happy about that. And then the second race, I tried in between the races to rectify the input issue, but I actually made it worse.
Oh.
So I literally only had either 50% or 100%. And so that's why you saw me going off and missing my braking points. And so it took me like probably 3 laps or so to adjust to where I needed to brake. And of course, then fighting with other drivers was almost impossible. So yeah, I apologize if I didn't behave the way I should have.
Technical issues seemingly plaguing the start of the season for both us in the broadcast booth and the drivers, because Spady Bud had no gas pedal, Porkchop had no wheel at one point. The end of race 2 there, you had a little bit of a through goes Hamilton moment. You couldn't quite get P4, but you got P5. What did you see there as you were driving on through?
Yeah, it was P4, I mean, defended for all he was worth. And they did a good job. I think at the very end of the last lap, he did a little bit of blocking, but it's okay. Nothing happened. The problem was for me, I couldn't feather throttle and gas. So twice I thought it's like I got him, and then I was just gonna feather the throttle a little bit, and of course it jumped instantly to 50%, and so I lost the rear, and I had to correct, and then that was that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate to hear, but yeah, still impressive that you were able to come out on top in race 1 and set that lap that you did in qualifying to get pole position. And yeah, thanks for joining us in the broadcast booth. We're gonna pull in Morogo Yatanashi.
Thanks for having me, and great job as always, and looking forward to the next races.
Yeah, likewise. Looking forward to seeing what sort of action you can provide on track once again in the rest of the races. Thank you, Christoph. We will see you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Let's pull in Morogo Yatanashi, podium finisher. Tyler, I'm going to hand over first question to you.
All right, sounds good. Marco, how was that? That was exciting for you.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Okay, so, I started in 7, so I'm just kind of chilling, and I just took advantage of people wrecking each other, really. I mean, Imola is not the easiest track. It's a little bit on the more difficult side because you got a lot of high and mid-speed corners as well as the chicane towards the end of it. I saw a couple of people mess up on that when I was racing. But all I did was just take it, kept a steady pace, took advantage of incidents that occurred, and P3 and P2. I could have had first in the second race if I didn't mess up the last couple of laps trying to catch up onto P1.
Yeah, you definitely provided some fantastic action. You've got fastest lap, I believe, in both race 1 and race 2. So you certainly have the pace to be up there. So really excited to see what sort of what more racing brings in the season. And talk us through a little bit what it's like negotiating those incidents that are happening to the left, to the right, in front of you. Yeah, how is it negotiating the carnage, let's say?
Well, I've had plenty of incidents in the past where I had people wrecking around me, and the easiest way, the best thing you can do is to stay calm, check your peripherals, look left, look right, try and anticipate where people are going, and just keep a low speed, turn where you need to go, and most of the time you'll avoid most, if not everything occurring around you.
That moment when you got P2 as Ramirez and Sag had a moment in the VLT Alta chicane, what went through your head there? Were you able to see the move from the back there in P4, or was it just kind of like you came to the corner just, oh, they're both off, and off I go?
No, I saw everything. I can't remember there was two Porsches. I don't remember which one it was, but one of them took the right-hander and the chicane a little too much, got uneasy, and drove into the other one, unfortunately, and both of them went off the track. That kind of stuff happens. If you're trying to make a move in that particular spot, don't. Just back out of it. There's plenty of other places. I mean, second to last corner, you got that big braking zone. That's a perfect place to try and make a move on.
Yeah, we saw some good moves into the final two corners, and thanks for joining us, Moriko. Looking forward to what you can bring in the rest of the season, and congratulations on the 2 podium finishes here tonight.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Yep, see ya.
Quickly grab Ortega.
Yeah, we're going to grab our race winner from race 2 of the rookies. This is Rafael Ortega Pelaez. Rafael, hello. Thanks for joining us today. Congratulations on the win in race 2. Talk us through that win.
Hey, thank you for having me. Actually, I didn't think I was going to win. I let Ramirez, I think it was the Porsche, the white Porsche behind me. I noticed that he was going a little bit faster. So I said, well, if I cannot catch up to Sullivan with the M4, the blue M4, because that car is, a little bit faster on the straight than the AMG, or at least mine, I said maybe I will leave them both, battle, and maybe I can benefit from this one. And you know what happened after that. So yeah, it was a little bit unexpected because they were racing, well, but I don't know. I mean, Imola, it's, she doesn't forgive any mistakes, and it happened.
Yeah, 100%. We saw plenty of drivers go off track, just dip a wheel into the gravel and lose so much lap time, or just clip that grass and spin out. Talk us a little bit through race 1. We saw you in a pretty good battle pretty much through the whole 20 minutes, working your way up through the field. What's it like negotiating Imola, such a difficult track to pass on with traffic in front and behind you?
Well, the first one was a complete nightmare. You could see that I started on the 8th position, and then the race start, I couldn't get the car to accelerate properly. Everyone was just going right through me, and I was thinking to myself, maybe I lost it already. I'm less than a rookie, I don't know. But with the patience, the pace, and all of that, with all the accidents that were happening in front of me, I could catch up. And then, something happened. I don't remember if it was against Sullivan, lost it on the last 2 corners. I think it was a Corvette, a blue Corvette, who touched him from behind, and they lost it both. So I don't know. I mean, it's really hard in Imola because of all the bananas and the sausages. I don't know how to call them in English.
That's perfect.
Because it will make your car lose control as soon as possible. That's why I'm racing with the AMG, because of the front engine. All the weight is going to keep you a little bit more stable than if you were with a rear engine car or middle engine. So the first one was a nightmare indeed, but I managed to keep calm and get the pace.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't mind me, I'll quickly ask a question before we have to get going to the open. Ortega, when that crash happened in race 2 in front of you with the 2 Porsches, like, what was your reaction? Just like, oh, I need to avoid this incident, or oh, I need to get going and get the lead of this race and hold off Yantaneshi, who was coming quickly behind?
Well, actually, I was laughing, but not because I was happy that it happened. Because I saw it happening before it did happen. I was like a wizard kind of thing at that moment because I knew that Porsche was pushing it a little bit too hard on Sullivan, and I said, this chicane is not for pushing, lad. But I'm going to let them, like find out, and whatever happens, happens. So when I saw that Porsche, like the rear bumper, elevate that way, I said, this is my moment. I'm going to push it to the floor, and whatever happens, happens. And good thing that both of them, they went to the left side of the track, so I could, just push it to the whole limit, and keep going. And I was laughing at for a whole lap. I was laughing at that incident.
Yeah, always fun to kind of predict. You can kind of see it happening before it actually happens. And congratulations once again on the win in race 2. Thanks for joining us here in the studio, and looking forward to the rest of the season. Good luck in the remaining rounds.
Thank you very much for having us. And actually, this is like my first time for the complete thing, because the last season I just got to the last race. I was the Blue M4. I was racing Sullivan as well, Mount Panorama, and I think that this is like the best thing that happened to me. The rookie series, it's pretty, really great. So keep it up, and thank you for the races, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for joining us, and we've got some more action up ahead of us in the Open Series. And yeah, great showing from the rookies. Nice racing, good respectful driving, a little bit of contacts here and there, but you can always expect that when you're racing, especially in quick 20-minute sprint races.
Oh yeah, definitely. You're bound to get some contact. You want to try and get through the time that you would normally have to get through that instance. But as we move on from the rookies, it is now time for the GT Open that follows suit. And from what I can tell from the screen, we have a number of drivers, mostly due to the graduates from last season's rookies on to now, as we ride on board with Neil Kerbel in that McLaren. We have 26 people. That is insane numbers here. And unlike in the rookies, where you have qualifying split between odds and evens, in the Open, it is a free-for-all. So obviously you need to pay attention on track. If you're not on a valid lap, or you've invalidated, you need to make sure you keep an eye on drivers that are flying behind you and not block them or not get involved in their lap in any way. And currently, Doyle is currently holding provisional pole with a 151.3, and Ricardo Rivera, the man, the myth, the legend, is not in an Alpine this season. He is in a McLaren, so we'll see how interesting that goes.
Yeah, lots of new drivers, lots of familiar drivers, lots of drivers getting promoted from the rookies to the Open Series. And as we were interviewing everyone, just want to say a quick thank you to everybody that followed, everybody in the chat. Always fun for us to keep along with the action. And thank you for the raid from Campagnolo. And we really appreciate all the love and all the support from everybody here tonight on this great and fun Monday night at Trackalicious. GT4 action in ACC, just finishing up the rookies. Now we have the GT4 Open Series, and like you said, 26 cars on track. Gonna be pretty tricky for us in the booth to keep up with all the action we're gonna have ahead if the Open drivers provide as much action as those rookies did.
I think it's going to be... Scott says Kerbel and Rivera are going to be fighting this. Kerbel definitely has pace in GT4. He is an absolute menace when it comes to GT4s. I race him in the... And he has got some pace. And there's a lot of people I know, especially in the Open, with both Kerbel and Nairati. Of course, Nairati I know in real life. And Ricardo Rivera, a 150.5. That is absolutely insane. And that Rogue Element racing car looking as beautiful as ever. On Tuesdays, I hate seeing it. On Mondays, I love seeing it a lot more. So let's see what Nairati can do in his first race in the Open Championship.
Yeah, just about to finish a lap. Currently sitting in 9th place, 1.8 seconds off the good of pole position. Improving on this lap, we'll see just how high up the standings this will bump up Mitch Nairati, crossing the line up to 5th place, 1.3 seconds off the good, and immediately dropped to 6th. with Skyhook, Blisk, Cuevas, Doyle, and Rivera up in front. Kerbal in 7th, Sugg joining from the race before. And Freeman in the top 10, Hansen, Torres, Zulsdorf, Elmer, Provolone, Church, Kalile, Johnson, Dutchy, Nelson, Chronotis, and Beachley all on track, trying to improve their times or even, in fact, set a valid lap time. Imola is the track choice once again for the venue of the Open Championship of the GT4s for round 1. And yeah, really excited to see what this season brings.
This is gonna be mayhem. If we thought the rookies was chaos, this is just gonna be mayhem. This is like rush hour traffic. This is you trying to drive a car in New York during rush hour. This is just gonna be absolute mayhem. There's gonna be drivers fighting for position, fighting for every millisecond of time to get a better qualifying position. It's like that 150.5. I don't think that's gonna be beat. Like Ricardo Rivera's in the pits, and he can probably stay there. Nothing is. I don't think anyone is going to beat that time. And if someone beats that time, I'll eat my hat.
Looking at the roster, it's going to be a good season. I 100% agree. Lots of white number plates. Of course, the red number plates meaning that the drivers are a rookie, but still able to race in the Open Series as well. And if you are interested in signing up for the GT4 series on Monday nights, the signups are open on SimGrid. Just search up Trackalicious and you'll be able to find both the rookies and the Open Championship on there. Always happy to have more cars on the grid on Monday nights.
Provolone, it ain't easy being cheesy. I'm going the crap out of car and name, just so you know when you and hear me say that. P5, so far so good for the cheese man himself. So green track. Oh my god, the track is green too for quali. Oh my, it's not even optimum or fast, it's straight up green. Oh my.
Yeah, a bit tricky for the drivers. I'm sure they all practice in optimum conditions, not having quite the grip levels they're used to, so not quite maybe as representative of lap times as we might see when the track eventually rubbers in. With just under 9 minutes to go in qualifying, top 3 still the same, or no, not the same. Rivera, Doyle, with Potts Weaver now joining the mix in 3rd place. Kerbal and Provolone 4th and 5th. Hansen in 6th. Blisk, Cuevas, Skyhook, and Nairati finishing out the top 10.
These times are so close. These gaps are going to be like, we might actually get drivers with the same time, genuinely, because of how close and how tight this field is. They were talking that it was damp at the end of the practice session. Ooh, it must have rained then. Must have rained either before the practice started. Scott, looking at the roster, it's going to be a good season. It would be better if you were here, driving. That way I could get the other Sullivan confused.
Yeah, just what we want in the commentary box. A little bit of confusion provides fun for everybody. Still, all the drivers trying to improve their lap times, some of them electing to come into the pits, put on new tires, and go out once again. Austin Doyle a half a second off of Ricardo Rivera's time in 1st place. And thank you again to all the new followers we have. Hard to keep up with everybody, but we really appreciate all the support from everybody. Thank you for following along with Trackalicious. Of course, plenty of racing action pretty much every day of the week. GT4 ACC action on Monday nights. And always happy to have you here. Always happy to have you on track. And welcome everybody who is new, welcome everybody who is coming back for another season. Always happy to have you here with us, following along.
Hansen now 0.283 back of Rivera, so that time, sorry folks, that time is beatable. It's just, you gotta get a perfect lap in. Like, that's just how it's gonna be. And And we're going to ride on board now with Beachley. Beachley, at least at the end of my commentary time through the Open, was a very good podium contender, at least the end of the Open last season. But now with 26 drivers, and a lot of them have either graduated from the rookies or have just gotten better over the off season. It's podiums in this are going to be a definite battle for any driver whatsoever. So there's 6 minutes left to go in qualifying. Let's see what these drivers can produce here, because Beachley will move up a few positions up into 7th.
Yeah, and immediately that time gets dropped with Torres moving up into 4th. The one car with a red placard, I think there might be an error with the placards, as I'm seeing a few drivers who might be in that rookie season. We saw Yatanashi race in the rookies, but they have a white number plate next to that 53 Aston Martin in 22nd place. So maybe just a slight bit of a glitch in the game here, not really showing us the true classes of everybody, but that doesn't really matter for the race itself. It just matters for how many points you get at the end of the season.
Yeah, I agree there. It doesn't matter. 5 minutes left to go in this qualifying. We have Colin Sugg. He was a little bit unfortunate in the last 2 races. He had good chances to podium and maybe even win, but contacts and spins ruined that opportunity. Let's see if he can actually get past Nairati here on this lap as he crosses the line, and he'll get past Nairati. He will go. Ricardo Rivera has actually gained 4/10, so I give up with this man. This man is insane. And then we have Eric Kuvas, hopefully I've said that right, move also up into... Yeah! That was a little close from the green. I think that was Kerbal behind him. Yeah, it was. It was Kerbal behind that scared Kuvas there. As Kuvas goes up in the P4, these times are dropping like flies, but the track is still green. Maybe we're going to... Oh, that's a little bit of a spin by the 111 of Martino. And my goodness, we have a lot of drivers in the back here.
Oh yeah, so much action still to go. Everybody's still improving their lap times. Gonna be hard to judge where everybody is gonna finish towards the end of the qualifying session. Ricardo Rivera on top with a 150.172, 7/10 clear of Alex Hansen in 2nd place in the 390 AMG, followed pretty closely behind by Doyle and Cuevas, followed by Torres, Sugg, Weaver, Kerbal, Provolone, and Beachley rounds out the top 10.
This is gonna be a battle as the professor tries his best to crack into the top 10. He's ahead of Nairati right now by 8 thousandths of a second. So there's still plenty of time, and I think actually Nairati is behind him. I think I saw that Rogue Element racing behind. Yep, there it is. I can confirm that. So as time slowly ticks down to qualifying, we're gonna have the best quali laps, I believe, of the session here, as the track is still green but improving slightly. So let's see what these drivers can produce for us as both the commentators and you guys, the viewer, in this last 2-minute 50 of qualifying.
Yeah, already really tight gaps all the way through the field. Really close, especially in that midfield. Gaining a 10th or 2 can gain you almost 5 places if you are lucky and can get that lap complete to the line. Keep it within the white track limit boundaries as Chronotis goes over the curbs really heavily, but still able to keep it within the white lines enough for the track limits on a valid lap. Just 2 more corners to go for Chronotis. Just now the final corner before blasting onto the curved start-finish straight at Imola. Just about to tick over to that 2-minute mark in qualifying. Probably just 1 or 2 more laps for some drivers if they're lucky enough to cross the line now, as Chronotis is not able to improve the time, gets up to 14th place, 2 thousandths of a second off of Skyhook's time in 13th place.
Nairati with an absolute mega lap to throw himself into sixth, inside the top 10. What an absolute massive lap for Nairati, as times are going to start tumbling down the board right now. As much as the track says it's green, it almost probably is either going to be fast or optimum by the end as the 000s hit and every driver crosses the line. So we'll see how that goes. Track temp is low, 18 degrees, with it also it being the air temperature because it's just previously rained. As time slowly ticked down, a minute 10 left to go in this qualifying session. The professor is looking to, honestly, he just needs 0.02 of a second and he can get Skyhook, and then 1/10 of a second he can get Blisk and Beach, and possibly even Beachley. Like, as you said, these times are so close, and not to mention it's a 50-minute race. It's not like it's a 20-minute sprint unlike the rookies. This is a 50-minute race with a pit stop. No mandatory tire change, but you do have to take fuel. So this is just going to be insane. I can't wait to see what happens with these drivers as we still ride on board with the professor as he takes that final corner out of that, followed by Nairati close behind him. I wonder who's going to improve. Let's see if the professor can improve. He will have one more chance to do a lap as he crosses the line and throws himself ahead of Nairati by 0.02 of a second. That is very, very, very close at the line. That gap is absolutely insane, isn't it, Kuja?
Yeah, 100%. Chronotis 200ths back of Skyhook, now 200ths up on Nairati in 7th and 8th place respectively. And at the top, Ricardo Rivera still happy with his time of a 50.172. Doyle improving to within half a second. Alex Hansen in 3rd. Kerbal in 4th in the pits. Cuevas 5th. Torres in 6th. Chronotis here in 7th with one more lap to go in qualifying for the driver of the McLaren Trackalicious LSR 24-hour car. And yeah, it's just going to be down to the line for some of these drivers to see if they can improve their times. Luke Nelson of Deadfish Racing currently sitting in 18th place. Just a few corners to go in that gold and green livery. Trying to improve from 18th place. Times are super close, so gaining just that few tenths will gain a huge advantage from 18th place up to the line. How far will Luke Nelson improve up the grid? He will just go up to 16th place, moving up a few places. And Tyler, I'm going to hand over the rest of the qualifying to you.
Zoldorf approaching the line here. Themselves, and Nairati. The only two drivers left to go across the line here. Sebastian Zoldorf in the Beefcake Racing Mercedes AMG. Man, I'm going to meme. And they're 17th above Juan Perez. Nairati, the only driver left that needs to cross the line. Can they find 0.02 of a second to get past the professor? They cannot. He will still say P8, but a good showing for Nairati in his open debut in qualifying. And now it's a lot more sunny here for the race start, and we will see what these drivers can do. The track is optimum. It is 4 p.m., 29 degrees track, 23 degrees air. I will throw it back to you, Kuja.
Sure thing, yeah. Good result at the top. Rivera half a second clear of second place Doyle. And yeah, really close gaps between the whole rest of the field. The entire top 10 is pretty much up for grabs throughout the whole field. And it will be interesting to see where a few of the rookie drivers can end up in the race. Of course, we can't quite see based on the number plates which drivers are rookies, but we will try our best to keep that straightened out. And let's start with our pole position sitter. This is Ricardo Rivera of the Puerto Rico E-Racing Club McLaren, racing with the 787 number. Just behind in second is Austin Doyle of the Doyle Mosport number 11 Porsche. Hansen behind, Alex Hansen, B&Y Racing, number 390, finishing in 3rd place in qualifying. Neil Kerbal having the 4th fastest lap. to the moon. The 395 green McLaren starts in 4th. Eric Cuevas, the Street Art Racing number 33 Aston Martin, the first Aston on the grid, racing under the number 33, will start in 5th place. Ramon Torres, the 181 McLaren, racing with a rookie badge, starting in 6th place. Just behind is Chronotis of the Trackalicious LSR 24-hour livery with the number 42. I don't think the plates will be reflected this season as everyone is in the same category on SimGrid. Fair enough. I didn't read my briefing notes, so perhaps you guys, not perhaps, you guys absolutely know more than I do. Mitch Nairati, friend of Tyler Morgan, Rogue Element Racing livery in the BMW, racing with the 32. Colin Sugg of Slug Racing, saw him in the 2 20-minute races earlier, hoping for a better result here in the Open. And to finish off the top 10, Potts Weaver in the Potts Auto Sport McLaren number 13. And the rest of the grid, we will go to you, Tyler.
All right, with 15 seconds to session start plus a form level to fly through these, but we'll do our best.
Time.
Alex Freeman in the number 14 Aston Martin of the AF Sport currently holds 11th. On keeping him for company is the Cheeseman himself at 8 Easy Bean Cheese, Jason Provolone. Also in an Aston Martin, he will sit there in 12th. 13th goes to Justin Beachley in the Beach GT number 18 Mercedes AMG. He'll have Blisk for company in the Mad Fox 115 Aston Martin. The Aston Martin seemingly all over the midfield right now. And then you have Skyhook number 10 in the Porsche with the Mission R livery that you see here. Then we have Luke Nelson in the Dead Fish Racing, another Aston Martin, as they seem to be overpopulating us like the Mercedes of last year. Then you have the Sebastian Zolthorf, I'm going to butcher that so many times and I apologize to that man ahead of time. P17 in the Beefcake Racing, number 23 Mercedes AMG. Then you start getting into the rookies that have just competed. You got Juan Perez in the GT Marquis Porsche. He raced just a few minutes ago, so he might have a little bit of a there. Then you have George Almer in the Sim Nut Thundercats Mercedes AMG number 22. He will have Noah Johnson for company in the Muddy Motorsport 942, another Aston Martin. Then you have Jacob Church in the Camaro, the one Bigley 253. He will have Pork Chop for company behind him in the number 71 Alpine. He had just finished his rookie race, followed by Jan Tanashi. The double podium in race 1 and 2, so hoping to build that momentum into the Open. Number 53, another Aston. Now you got Riley Dutchy in the Mad Fox 621 at Aston Martin again. Then you have the number 26, Kilalia, I'll butcher that, and the Batman Beyond number 26. He'll sit P25. And then rounding out this entire grid, you have Martino in the 111 Porsche sitting in P26. Wow, that was a mouthful.
Yeah, nice big grid for us today. 26 cars in the Open race, 50 minutes of action. Once the green flag waves, there is a mandatory pit stop that the drivers must do, with a pit window that opens 1 minute into the race and closes 1 minute before the race end. So drivers will be forced to come into the pits to at least take fuel. There is a 25-second fixed timer on the pit stop where the drivers must at least refuel. Then it is up to the drivers to decide whether they want to add an additional 5 seconds to their time and take on fresh tires to give them an advantage towards the end of the race on the competitors who did not. And we will just have to wait and see what plays out ahead as the formation lap is going to be concluded, as all the drivers get into zipper formation, lining up 2 wide down the start and finish curves straight around Imola. Just gonna have to wait and see who's gonna get a good jump into turn one. Lots of fun looking liveries on the grid this season. Excited to see what sort of action the Open Series can provide for us after the rookies. And we are approaching one final kink before we release the grid for the 50 minutes of racing we have ahead. And there you have it. The green light waves. Fantastic start from Rivera, chopping off Doyle. Doyle under pressure from behind though, and it's looking pretty good. A bit of cars going into the grass, able to keep it going though, and Doyle still maintaining second place after a bit of an attack from Hansen, but not having enough of an overlap to do anything about it. Looking further back the field, they're almost 4 wide as they approach the Villeneuve chicane. That is a fantastic move from Chronotis in that lime green McLaren, able to stick it around the outside of Nairati and gets the move done into the tight Tosa hairpin and keeps that McLaren in front. The BMW struggling a little bit, but still close behind to the McLaren. Having a little bit of company behind, though, is Mitch Nairati.
That was an absolute astounding move of going 4 wide, then into 3 wide. You have Pottsweaver doing their best, and they're gonna back. Oh, that just stays out of the racing line. That could have been a lot worse for Pottsweaver as down the grid they go, slowly but surely losing places. That's unfortunate for Pottsweaver. Just looks like they lost traction there as Mirko Nyantanashi goes on through. They had a little bit of an incident in the backfield as well. Now you have Eric Kuvas trying to chase down Nairati in that BMW up ahead. The Aston Martin proving a little bit of straight line speed can do, in fact, some good. Now you have Chronotis going for Torres, and then you have Ricardo Rivera, as always, leading this race. So far, it doesn't look like we've had any major incidences in lap 1, which you'd like to see. And honestly, a yellow flag is going to happen. See Beachley dead in 13th after his performance last season is so weird. Yeah, I agree. He was a podium contender, but now because of the skill of the group, there's just not a lot of opportunities. You have Skyhook under threat from the German Mercedes of Zoldorf, going in for the potential overtaking here. Zoldorf's going down the inside, it seems. Skyhook gonna just get enough of an overlap to keep that position, and so far things are holding so far right now, Kuga.
Yeah, looking pretty good. Just that one tap to the rear of Pottsweaver, unfortunately dropping the number 13 to the back of the grid, but with a pit stop lying ahead, still anything is possible as Ron Skyhook dipping a wheel into the exit, on the exit of the Villeneuve chicane, giving a little bit of an overlap to Zulsdorf, who's going to try the move but can't quite get the run out of the tight hairpin and not keeping enough speed to go side by side into the heavy braking zone at the top of the hill, where the drivers will then shoot right back down into the fun complex of Aqua Minerale. A fun right-hander followed by a really another tricky right-hander protected by curbs on the inside and the outside. Rod Skyhook able to avoid those, but the Mercedes behind has a really good run and is going to line up for a move on the inside of the tight Variante Alta chicane, but not side by side enough to get the move done. And this is a fun little battle.
Nairati managed to get ahead of, I think, the McLaren, I think of Chronotis, as he's defending a 3-car battle that's behind him. Nairati needs to use... Ooh, I thought that was an inside move there. Nairati needs to use this and just get away from this situation. And oh my goodness, Nairati just leads up. Oh, that was almost a forced pit stop from the professor into Cuevas there, who was trying his best to not force him into the pit lane. And we are going to have a possibly 3 wide here from Eric, Provolone, and Blisk. It is an Aston Martin 3-way battle, it seems here. You've got to make sure you give space to your driver, the driver beside, if they have sufficient overlap. And I do believe Eric is going to defend that position from the Cheese Man. However, they are not out of danger yet whatsoever. This race still has 45 minutes to go, and there are so many people behind Eric that one mistake, he will lose a lot of positions.
Yeah, you certainly don't want to do that. There's a bit of an inside move there from Luke Nelson in the background on Colin Sugg. We'll see if he's able to get that move done. As, yeah, we have a really fun car, or fun 5-car battle going on here. And yeah, I agree. This grid does indeed look wild. It's going to be a fun season up ahead in the 8 rounds we have of the GT4 Open Series at Trackalicious.
Beachley gets ahead of Sugg there. So you had a Mercedes somewhere involved in there. I think that was Beachley. Oh, now Beachley gets back ahead of Sugg. So it's just an absolute battle going on pretty much everywhere you go on this track. Ricardo Rivera still leads, however. Austin Doyle does have the fastest lap. Doyle was a rookie last season, and he did very, very well, especially near the end, so he got upgraded due to the fact that he was no longer a rookie on SimGrid. Is Beachley going to try a move here on Luke Nelson? No, he does not. Nelson defends it quite well, sticking there Aston Martin in the middle of the track and just kind of just making sure that Mercedes does not have the opportunity to get by. However, Beachley's not going to let this go unchallenged. She's going to try his best to try and get Luke Nelson into the very, very complicated turn complex there. So Beachley trying to look for any move whatsoever he can find. Maybe he'll just stick behind. It looks like that's what he's going to do. He's just going to stick behind Luke Nelson for now and wait for either Nelson or a driver up ahead to make a mistake. But he's got a way better exit, actually, than Nelson. He might actually try and attempt through here. He got a much better exit, but it looks like he's just going to follow behind Luke Nelson for right now and wait for a mistake from Nelson himself.
Yeah, had an absolutely fantastic overspeed out of the corner, but couldn't get by Luke Nelson at the right opportunity to use that momentum and carry it into the Villeneuve chicane and get the move done. So electing to just stick behind the Aston Martin ahead, and the number 19 and the number 18 will continue to battle for 11th and 12th respectively. Luke Nelson, though, running a little bit wide, having to take the inside line into Aqua Minerale, thinks the better of it and gives the position to Beachley. Good move. Keeping it clean is Justin Beachley up into 11th place now, just 1.5 seconds behind Blisk in 10th.
Ricardo Rivera already on his way. He's already got fastest lap. He's already 2.5 seconds up the road, continuing his dominance from last season, this time just in a McLaren, as we ride on board with the Beefcake Racing number 23 of Zolsdorf. I'm going to try my best not to butcher these names. He's trying to chase Skyhawk in the number 10 Porsche. These Porsches are very powerful here in this circuit. They've always been a pretty powerful, tiny little car compared to the size of like the Aston. That Aston is wide. That Porsche is not very big, so it allows it can fit in smaller gaps than what most cars can. So Sebastian's going to do his best to just follow along Skyhook here, just kind of wait for his moment. And what's crazy is that this is like kind of middle of the pack-ish, and like the gaps are already kind of like, at least from like 13th on, are pretty wide, but like up in the top half, anything 5th to like 12th is just so tight right now.
Yeah, indeed, it is super tight. Provolone getting through on Blisk up into 9th place now. Gonna try to chase down Cuevas in front. And like you said, the gaps are opening up a little bit in places, but it's still super tight between a lot of them. Lots of 3 and 4 car battles going on track. And if you make one little mistake, it could cost you even more, as you have to wait for even more drivers in trains behind to come through and rejoin safely out on track. Good battles all the way up the field now. In the foreground there, we see Nairati attacking Chronotis. And this whole train really continues all the way back to the end of the pictures there. I believe that's Sugg in the 34 Porsche closing off this kind of good little mid-pack train we have going on. Going to be super interesting to see what happens when the drivers take their pit stops. And I believe Alex Freeman has already elected to come into the pits in the number 14. We see him riding around solo on the track, last on the grid in 26th place, but already completing that crucial mandatory pit stop. taking clean air, not getting involved in any battles, and just setting raw pace for as long as they can.
It'll definitely be interesting to see how the drivers handle their pit stop strategy, as we have Elmer going into the pits now in that 22 Mercedes AMG. It'll be very interesting because, like, to pit now this early kind of sounds insane, but you get clear air. That's almost kind of what you need in this situation. Driving in the dirty air is just going to ruin those tires even more, especially for like people like Torres, Cuevas, and Provolone, who are just constantly fighting. You're gonna just eat your tires. So, like, you almost kind of want to box just to get clear air, but you can't do it this early because, like, you'll just be running with so much fuel.
Yeah, running with fuel is certainly not what the drivers want to do, adding a lot more weight than necessary to complete the race. And that's a fantastic move down the inside by Martino on Dr. Porkchop. Porkchop leaving that door just a little bit open, and a fantastic move from Martino to move up into 18th place. We saw both of those guys battling in the rookies race earlier, continuing it on, and there is Perez in the back there as well, continuing from the rookies into the open series tonight. Good to see the fun grid continue from the rookies all the way to the open, battles all the way up and down the grid. And this is the train we mentioned at the front of the midfield. This is Eric Cuevas in 8th place, and a drive-through penalty already this early on to Dutchy in the 6-2-1 Aston Martin, riding in 22nd place. We didn't see any drive-thrus from the rookies earlier, and already just 12 minutes into this one, a drive-through awarded to Rally Dutchy.
That'll be for track limits. They've already had. Well, the good news is that now they'll have a news, but yeah, drive-through this early on is a little bit unfortunate, especially if you wanted to make a pit stop. We're actually seeing the back of the grid make pit stops early versus the front of the grid, which makes sense. They want to just get clear air and try and undercut their competition. But yeah, no, Nairati has just been slowly gaining on the Professor up ahead, but also managing to keep the gap behind to Torres and to Cuevas. So that is important. Again, that comes into the question: would you rather attack or would you rather defend? And kind of do a hybrid both, where he's doing enough to defend from behind, but he's not doing enough to attack up ahead. So they're kind of just sitting. But actually, Torres has actually gained a little bit on Nairati since this conversation started, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, lots of good battles. Chronotis at the front of the field, setting good pace, not making too many mistakes, just running the race that he knows how to run, not letting Nairati get too close to make a move. And there's 3 more cars behind, trying desperately to gain those positions and pick up the championship points in this new season we have ahead. Clean slate, everyone's at 0, so championship points are very important to grab as early as you can. And with plenty of points on offer in a 26-car grid, you certainly want to finish as high up as you can. And the Chronotis is doing just that, up in 5th place.
You're not even this race. Like, we had so much action from keys and it's just like this almost kind of seems tame compared to what we had in race 2 from the race. Like, we haven't had much in terms of, like, I guess, like, overtakes in quotations, saves and stuff like that. But this is also a 50-minute race, so there's still plenty of time for chaos to reign supreme here. But so far, it's a nice and easy run, as that's actually going to be Bliss going wide, allowing Beachley the opportunity to go round the outside. However, I think Bliss is going to do just enough to defend from Beachley there and not give up that crucial 10th place position.
Yeah, Beachley trying to do the over-under there, but not leaving enough room for the under was Blisk, defending the inside line perfectly. Beachley just not having, or thinking he doesn't have the grip to carry it around the outside, electing to try to go for the cut on the inside, and once again, it was super well defended. And Beachley going to try to line up a move here into the Variante Alta. A little bit of action side by side up ahead, but Beachley does have the inside of the Variante Alta through the first part, has to take on the brakes and is really slowed down to the second part, and that might give Luke Nelson in the number 19 a good run on the Mercedes into the penultimate corner of the first Ravazza, and he's going to look down the inside but not side by side enough. The Mercedes really confident on the brakes, and as I say that, more than likely braked a little bit too late, having to take to the gravel and giving the position to Luke Nelson, but not giving it up easily, having a good straight line speed advantage out of the final corner, gonna tuck into the slipstream of the Aston Martin. There's a yellow flag. That is the 942 stranded and going a little bit slowly before the Variante Alta, but able to keep rolling again as Beachley not having any room to make any moves. Good defending from Luke Nelson in front to keep 11th place.
Just unfortunate by Beachley there. They kind of just outbreak themselves and lost a position, and maybe even two because of it, because Blisk has kept P10. Nairati has fallen back of Chronotis and has given more of a defensive racing to Torres behind as those gaps continue to fall. As Ramon Torres is going to try and do his best to get ahead of Nairati, and currently up ahead right now, Ricardo Rivera has a 7.5. That is an incredible lead up ahead, considering we're only like 16-ish minutes through this race. A 7.5 second lead is just incredible pace. Kerbel's following closely behind on Hansen, and then you have all these important midfield battles. Nairati keeping their BMW firmly planted in the middle of the track, doing their best to defend. Now, Ramon Torres, I know you want to get Nairati, but you might have a problem with an Aston Martin that's coming up right behind you, so I suggest you focus on that more than you focus on Nairati, and the Aston Martin not going to make a move yet up the inside, just electing to hold behind Ramon Torres, that is Cuevos, and not far behind is the Cheeseman as the number 33 dips a tire into the grass, and that might allow the Cheeseman to potentially get an overtake here into turn one. Now, mind you, he's completed the move down the straight, but can he hold it into turn one? It ain't easy going to be Cheesy, and it ain't going to be easy defending against Eric Cuevas, as he's going to just hold on right now. Beachley is going to pit from 13th, probably more of a frustration pit than anything else. And Nairati and Ramon Torres are going to fight it out, it seems, up ahead going into this little dip of a chicane. Ramon Torres takes the inside as him and Nairati make contact. Cuevos does a beautiful dodge job to avoid contact, and Provolone, and I do believe Provolone couldn't get past Nairati, however Cuevas does. Be interesting to see what happened there as they were going side by side, and it just looked like kind of a little bit of a drift over. I don't necessarily know, but as it stands right now, Nairati does lose a position from 6th down to 7th. However, Ramon Torres is the unlikely person in that sandwich, as he just keeps dropping down the grid order and is behind Luke Nelson in 11th.
Yeah, unfortunate bit of an incident, just not having the grip in the second part of the chicane. And we got an update from the 942 that had multiple brake failures and unable to continue the race. Sorry to hear that, my friend. Hopefully you'll be able to sort those issues out before next week, and we'll be back on track for round 2.
I'm on autopilot. I'm going to be faster than all of these guys. Why don't you drive on Monday nights with us in the open? Why don't you put money where your mouth is, so to speak? If you're going to say you're going to be faster than all of these guys, why don't you prove it? I don't think no offense, I don't think you're going to be faster than Ricardo Rivera. That man has pace and then some. If you can beat Ricardo Rivera, I will genuinely eat my hat, as he is a 9-second gap almost 20 minutes into this race.
Yeah, good gaps in front and really close battles really throughout the field. Lots of drivers in the back already electing to take their pit stops. those being Freeman, Beachley, Elmer. And in fact, Freeman is in front of Beachley, who did elect to pit from right around 13th place. Someday yet, but I will. Hopefully soon. Yeah, always good to see. Always good to see some close battling all throughout the field, the top, the bottom, the middle, and the Open Series is a perfect spot for that, with some rookies carrying over from the series before and providing action everywhere, all the time. And then the update from the 942. The goal is to fix it. I was working all evening and I had more pace than what my quality pace was. I'm gutted, honestly. Yeah, sorry to hear that. Yeah, it was weird that the qualifying conditions were green, so not quite the conditions that everybody most likely practiced on. But yeah, sorry to hear that, and hopefully you'll be back stronger than ever for the rest of the season.
Still long season to go. It's just race one. I understand one race can ruin a season, but it's one race out of 8. You just move on, keep it going. There's still plenty of time left in this season to go. It's very early on, so keep your head high, keep moving on. You'll be back, as that is the Cheese Man going into the pits now, electing to take their mandatory pit stop now. A little bit early, like 4 minutes early, past it, going into the halfway mark of this race, as the speed limit. I miss when you can just go 100 kilometers, like 120 kilometers an hour into your pit box. I miss those days.
Yeah, well, this is going to be interesting to see where Provolone ends up after taking the pit stop, stopping from inside the top 10, and a bit of an error there. It looks like there was a bit of a disconnect. Not quite sure what happened there. He's still back, but the camera's just deciding to do their own thing and take us away from what we want to see. But what we actually want to see is some on-track action between Mitch Nairati and Cuevas. This is for 6th and 7th place. And thank you for the follow. I'm on autopilot. Really appreciate the support. We'll be very excited to see you out on track and fight for the lead with these guys in the GT4 cars.
Jolson will pull a Ferrari, come back stronger. Now, if you're going to pull a Ferrari, might I ask, and Nairati got a little skittish there as he's going to fall back of Cuevas after having a little bit of a moment in the chicane there, but managing to keep the car going forward, going straight. That is important. But if you're going to come back stronger, especially in a Ferrari, might I suggest adding a pool? Especially if you're going to have a leak. Because, if there's a water leakage, it must be water. Isn't that right, Kuja?
It must be water. And those are the true words of wisdom we hear from our friends at Ferrari. And hopefully they'll provide us with a lot more. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully that issue kind of resolves itself. You're able to get that fixed and come back for the remaining 7 races of the season. Long way to go, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there is a drop round in the championship. So just because you have one bad race isn't going to ruin the rest of the championship. And excited to see you back next week.
As Colin Sugg goes for his pit stop, as well as the 26 Aston Martin. So still a long, as we start getting into the pit stops now, the all-important mandatory pit stops. So the question now becomes the question, Kuja, do you take tires or not?
Yeah, that's always the important question, and it's really up to the drivers to decide how much they've worn their tires. Kind of make it a bit of a judgment call. We saw that being a popular strategy last season, where drivers did elect to change the tires and take fresh rubber for the remainder of the race. But if you're riding on your own, the tire wear isn't that high, so you could potentially risk it and stay out, just refuel the car, save yourself 5 seconds of time in the pit stops, and just keep going and battling out on track. Of those drivers who have already pitted, it is Dr. Porkchop, or sorry, it's not Dr. Porkchop, he's in the 71 Alpine just behind in the picture in 23rd. It is Provolone in 16th place, in the lead of all of those who have stopped, in front of Freeman, in front of Beachley, and then Sugg just now exiting the pits, is rejoining in 20th place behind Dutchy, who is still yet to stop. And yeah, lots of interesting strategy calls here. Some people electing to come in super early, like Alex Freeman, and a little bit now is pretty much right around the time we expect for the drivers to be coming in, right around that halfway minute mark, 25 minutes into the race.
Luke Nelson and Zoldorf taking their pit stops. Luke Nelson was somewhere in, I think, 9th when he made his pit stop. So be interesting to see as we ride on board now with Alex Freeman in that AFC Sport. Aston Martin sitting in 17th place, sitting behind the Cheese Man, about 4 or so seconds back, as the race engineer lets us know we're halfway through the race. For me, whenever it got, especially when you drive these like medium races, I always found hearing the halfway point kind of almost helpful, but at the same time it's just like, we're only halfway? Because like after a while you kind of get into this state where just the laps start to feel same over and over again. It can be a little bit, it can be a good thing sometimes, especially if you're doing well, but like every now and then if you have like a snap back to reality in a corner, you kind of just mess up your zone a little bit, as that is the end of the pit stops for Luke Nelson and Zoldorf. As I believe, did they stay out ahead? No, they haven't. They've actually dropped down a few places, as it seems right now, as Freeman ends up in 14th.
Yeah, Freeman's going to jump a few places. Their pit box was after the start-finish line, so they had technically already crossed the timing board before Freeman did, so that was why those lap times were a little bit messed up. And there's a stop-go 30-second penalty for Martino for speeding in the pit lane. Unfortunate to see that from the 111 Porsche. Still yet to make a pit stop, so not quite sure where the 111 picked that penalty up, as the pit stop still hasn't been served. But yeah, interesting penalty call there. Leader Ricardo Rivera is in the pits with that fun looking Puerto Rico e-racing club livery with the Puerto Rican flag on the roof, with the fastest lap of a 1 minute 49.810. And in the pits from the lead will come out in around 8th or 9th place overall in the field, but still drivers ahead need to make their pit stops.
Yeah, that's an interesting call. Like, how do you get a speeding in the pit lane without taking your pit stop? Like, unless they had a drive-through, but they didn't have a drive-through. I've seen that. I don't know, man. I don't get paid enough to try and figure that out. My brain's not working. Cuevas and Torres both pitted, so that allows Nairati to be let loose and Blisk, and that is another stop-go penalty. This time it is for Ramon Torres in the 181, and that is going to drop him back probably a fair little bit, and that is Alex Hansen dipping into the pits to try and cover off Ricardo Rivera, but I do believe that'll be a fleeting effort as we watch Neil Kerbel go off now into P2, the professor following in the pits as well. Nairati electing not to pit just yet as he continues to move on forward. As it seems some drivers might be going long here.
Yeah, seeming to go a little bit long. Neil Kerbel now with a really good chance to get a really fast lap after being behind the car in second place of Alex Hansen. Now with some clean air, and really needs to push his 395 McLaren to the limit to try and get any sort of advantage he can through the pit stop cycle. Once he comes in and cycles through, it'll be interesting to see where he comes out relative to our friend who had just come into the pits. That was Alex Hansen coming in from second, and already in the pits, serving that pit stop, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where he comes out. Rolling out onto the grid in that blue and yellow Mercedes, really fun looking lines on the livery of Alex Hansen this season. And he is gonna come out in 5th place, is that right? No, 6th place, there it is. A little bit behind Ricardo Rivera, right around that 15-second or so mark, which is pretty much where he was at the beginning. And yeah, weird that Martino got that penalty, but I didn't see him serve the pit stop, or did he have a drive-through before?
I didn't see him have a drive-through before, maybe because he was at the bottom, but we would have seen the risk control message, like I saw with Church, who now also has a drive-through penalty, or a stop-go 30 penalty, which is unfortunate for him, but alas, things are happening that are very unfortunate. Doyle and Kerbal have both boxed. Nairati will actually inherit the lead of this race as of right now, so that is a little feather in the cap pocket for him. If he continues to go on, he will officially have led a lap here in the Open Championship. But Zane Blisk is keeping him company here. He's less than a second. I don't think, unless Nairati has a massive mistake, I don't think anything too bad will happen. But if you go long, you're hoping that the drivers that you are either racing or fighting with behind either encounter traffic or have in this case, have a stop-go 30 or have a drive-through. So and you got to make sure that you have pace yourself to continue the ability to go forward and take a late pit stop. So it'll be interesting to see how
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens towards the end of the race. Of course, if you run long at the beginning, you can underfuel the car towards the end, make the car a little bit lighter, and it'll give you just that split-second advantage in top speed down the straights to try and get any sort of move done. And this is a good battle on track still for essentially first and second place on track, but it'll be not first and second once they serve their mandatory pit stops. And it could be, again, very interesting to see where they come out behind. And Neil Kerbal was able to get by Alex Hansen after the pit stop cycle. Hansen now 2.4 seconds back, and we'll see if any of these two drivers in the lead elect to come into the pits. Not yet on this lap. They're going to go around again with just over 18 minutes to go in the race.
I do believe we have a drive-through in the back of the field, the back of the field, with the numbers that we can't see. I think the 187, I think, has a pit stop, or as a stop-go 30s. We have Beachley and Freeman fighting it out for a top 10 positional place in this race. And actually, what's happened is Blisk has actually gotten ahead of Nairati for the race lead. I guess Nairati had a little bit of... Blisk had a better rundown out of turn 1, 2, and 3. Let's see what happens as we check the replay here, folks. So Nairati heads into turn 1. Just misses a little bit of the gravel, or misses the turn, takes a little bit of the gravel, and gives up the lead of this race. I think that's just showing how much those tires are hurting. So I'm wondering if Nairati is going to take the extra 5 seconds and get on some fresh rubber for the end of this race, as it looks like they struggled there, outbraking themselves into turn 1.
Yeah, just a little bit of a mistake into turn 1, not slowed down in time, electing to just cut through the gravel as opposed to trying the awkward line over the sausage curbs, or the bananas, as we heard Rafael call them earlier. I haven't heard that before, but I really like I like that term for it, so I might start using that a little bit more here as we continue to broadcast the open race. It's just over 16 minutes to go in this 50-minute race. The pit window will close 1 minute before the end, so it's very important that Blisk and Nairati get those pit stops in before the end of the timer on that pit stop window for their pit stops to be valid and not pick up any additional penalties. Ricardo Rivera in the lead of those who have already come into the pits, 11 seconds clear of Austin Doyle in second place, clear of Neil Kerbal, Hansen, Chronotis, Provolone, Cuevas, and Freeman finishing up the top 10.
they didn't pit again. What is... Like, I understand, like, wanting to go long, but this might be a little bit of a stretch now. I don't know what the game plan is here between those two. I can only speculate. And I'll definitely be talking to Nairati after the race as we watch over him. I'll watch over POV, and I'll ask him what he was thinking in his head, and I'll report back for next week in the next races. But so far, as it stands right now, gaps are, now that the pit stops have come out, the gaps are kind of a little bit more spread out. You got these little pockets of battles for position, like you got... Oh, that's a little bit wide by the cheese man. A little, that provolone cheese might have gotten a little bit funky and caused him to go into the gravel there, but manages to keep it going straight. He's just lost a little bit of time. Cuevos saying, "Thank you very much, sir. I will gladly take that position."
Yeah, easy move for Cuevas, just keeping his own racing line, avoiding Provolone going a little bit wide into the out of the penultimate corner, not quite getting slowed down and turned in time, and giving that position, dropping to 9th place, but still riding very well in the top 10. Our top 2 still going around for another lap, and it'll be interesting to see just exactly when they decide to come in, as it is getting pretty late in the race, well over halfway through now, as the fatigue factor might start to set in for a few of these drivers, especially for the rookies who competed in 2 20-minute races before the Open Series starts. And it'll be fun to see just how high a few of those competitors can end up. Sub, we saw in the previous races, riding up in 15th place so far. Porkchop as well in 18th. Perez in 20th. And yeah, always fun to see the rookies competing in both of the championships on Mondays.
Nairati electing to take their pit stop now. Blisk keeping on going, so we'll see if Nairati can do the undercut on the 115 Aston. Nairati sitting there waiting for what seems like an eternity. These pit stops are a little bit of a struggle because you're just sitting there and you're waiting for the timer to slowly tick down so you can finally leave your pit box as you watch drivers just pass you as the time just keeps going and going, and Nairati's finally able to get free. And this pit lane speed limiter is so long, you want to just slam on the gas now and get going as you watch drivers get past you as they go on and on and on behind you. And it's unfortunate because you've lost a fair amount of positions. Nairati, who started 8th, is now kind of in 9th. He's lost 1 position electing to go long on these pit stops. But what was the pit timer?
Let's find out what the pit timer was. Pit timer on that one was 29 seconds, so more than likely not taking new tires and
Damage.
Coming out on track in 9th place, and a bit of a no man's land gap, 4 seconds behind, 4 seconds in front. So coming out a bit of a no man's land, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Blisk when they eventually decide to come into the pits. 20 laps completed so far, still 12 and a half minutes to go. Anything can happen in this top 10. Lots of close action, pretty close battles up and down the field, and a little bit quiet now towards the end of the race. But certainly action picking up in a few places, with Alex Hansen getting close to Neil Kerbel in the battle for 4th place.
Just catching my breath there. Yeah, Hansen got kind of overcut by Neil. Hansen actually, yeah, got overcut by Neil. So it'll be interesting, as that is the 111 that's out of turn 3-4, and they're just going to return to the pits, and that'll most likely be the end of their session, as Alex Hansen is going to try and do their best to get ahead of Neil Kerbel. Kerbel is definitely a person that knows how the GT4 works, a person that knows how to defend. So it'll be interesting to see if Hansen can maybe get a move towards like the latter stage, like 5-6 minutes into the race, left in the race, and maybe get ahead of Neil. It'll be interesting, like tires and no tires about it. It'll just be, as once famously is said, catching is one thing, passing is another. And the 115 of Bliss still has yet to stop. He's running out of time on that pit window.
Yeah, indeed. Both of these drivers pushing for 4th and 5th, making a little bit of mistakes in different places. Kerbal running a little bit wide, Hansen taking a little bit of the curbs. And in this battle for 4th place, it's really going to pick up towards the end as Hansen running wide might pick up a track limit violation there as the leader of the race finally comes into the pits. And credit to Doyle, P2 is legit. Yeah, I completely agree. Great to see Austin Doyle doing so well in the Open Series after the Rookie Series last season, and good to see the pace from Doyle continuing on into this new season.
Yeah, Doyle definitely one of the more star upgrades from the rookies into the Open Championship. So good on him for that P2 it being legit, and having the pace here at Imola. It'll be interesting to see if he can hold out that pace for the entire season. Maybe get a chance to battle the great Ricardo Rivera as we change the camera angle up differently so we can see what the passenger of Alex Hansen sees. There's actually no passenger in his car. We wouldn't allow that, but this is what they would see as Kerbal. That McLaren's actually pulling away, it seems, from the Mercedes on the straight. What?
Yeah, maybe just not the best exit for Hansen coming out of that final corner as Neil Kerbal drifting just that little bit, slowing that McLaren down, giving Alex Hansen an advantage as they close the gap up in front. And Blisk, having completed the pit stop, ends up in front of Nairati for 8th place. That is going to promote Doyle, Kerbal, Hansen, Chronotis, Cuevas, and Provolone up a few places. And then Blisk running in 8th, Nairati 9th, and Freeman is in the top 10, but he's under pressure from a few cars behind. Rod Skyhook being the tail of this little train, with Beachley in front in the 18 Mercedes, closing the gap to Alex Freeman for that final top 10 position.
Definitely still plenty of action with 8 minutes and change left to go in this race session. Beachley looking for any opportunity to get by Freeman here, just to crack himself inside the top 10, especially with the skill of the drivers up ahead. It's got to be frustrating for Beachley, especially with the performance that they were having near the end of the season with the podiums and the fighting for race wins, to now just be fighting just for like the sniff of a top 10. It's got to be frustrating. It might just be, and now car 32. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, good friend Mitch Nairati picking up a drive-through penalty in the closing stages of the race, and that is not going to help his chances of finishing in the top 10. Beachley lining up an inside move. Thank you for the follow. I can't quite read that. My vision is so bad. But yes, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated, and thank you to all the followers we may have missed earlier. We appreciate the support here at Trackalicious on Mondays for the GT4 action in ACC. Mitch Nairati electing to just dive into the pits immediately and taking that drive-through out of play and finishing out the race penalty-free. So we shall see just how far Mitch Nairati can get back up the field after taking that drive-through for track limits.
It'll be interesting to see where they come out. They'll come out ahead of the battle that I believe is Sug and Elmer. Nope, they're farther back of that. They're ahead of Khalil and Porkchop. That's a little bit of an unfortunate gamble as to go from 9th to 16th, but a drive-through is a drive-through. As Hansen bops Kerbal a little bit there, Kerbal manages to hold the position for now, it seems, holding on to that last podium position. Alex Hansen wanting that more than I think Kerbal does. And with 6 minutes and change left to go, there's still plenty of time for Hansen to potentially make that move on Neil Kerbal.
Yeah, having a good bit of overspeed into the braking zone of Variante Alta, but just not quite slowing it down, running into the back of the McLaren, but good sportsmanship from Hansen to maintain the position behind, let Kerbal regather that car, and the fight will continue as they cross the line to start their 24th lap of this 50-minute race. And just under 6 minutes to go, should be about 3 or 4 laps for Alex Hansen to try and take that final podium position away from Neil Kerbal, who is hanging on for dear life. That McLaren is wiggling all over the road, but keeping a very good defensive position from Alex Hansen, not able to get the move done into any heavy braking zones, or in fact down the straight we saw the McLaren pulling away as we tuned in on board with Alex Hansen. So yeah, going to be difficult for Hansen to pull off a move without any sort of mistake from Kerbal in front, as it seems like these two just have a super evenly matched pace.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be a rousing battle for the final 5 minutes between those two, as we now check on the battle for 9th, 10th, and 11th. Now Rod Skyhook wants that 10th place position thanks to the Nairati drive-through, and Skyhook is just like, sir, can I please have that P10, please? I would like a top 10 finish to start this season debut for Rod Skyhook. But so far it seems that Freeman, Beachley, and Skyhook are all just holding serve right now. No mistakes from either driver just yet. Knock on wood, announcer's curse jinx. But so far, nothing seems to have happened to them through the Valti out of chicane. And I think Beachley might have gotten a better run, or that's just Mercedes. Either way, Beachley's just... I think Beachley would like to get ahead of Freeman into 9th, but I think a P10 finish for the debut is not too bad either.
Yeah, not bad at all, and like you said, Beachley used to fighting for those top positions. Just gonna have to kind of regather after this race. Maybe Imola is just not quite as well suited for his Mercedes as he would have liked, but nonetheless a top 10 position in such a competitive field is still a good result, and anything could really happen in the top 10 throughout the whole remainder of the season with how close the lap times were in qualifying. And we've seen plenty of good close racing from multiple drivers battling multiple other drivers. It's not always been the same 2 or 3 cars battling throughout the 50 minutes. It's been a good mix and match of drivers, different cars, different types of cars, of course, different front engine varieties, rear engine varieties, some mid-engine varieties, and always fun to see the different cars on the grid. The McLaren of Ricardo Rivera, though, is absolutely commanding this one. 18 seconds clear of second place Austin Doyle in the number 11 Porsche, who is himself about 8 seconds clear of the battle for third and fourth place we saw between Alex Hansen and Neil Kerbal. And yeah, not too many battles going on track besides the ones that we have been showing so far. Freeman defending 9th place from Beachley and Skyhook, and unfortunately taking those curbs a little bit heavily.
Yeah, I saw the angle that they were taking. Not look like a good, that did not look like a good conducive line for the car. That's going to allow Beachley the chance to go up the inside here and take that P9 position away, and Beachley will do so quite well. That's actually going to allow Rod Skyhook maybe the opportunity to go up the inside, but Freeman does just enough to recover and keep 10th place. What a great pass by Beachley. Freeman, just too much curb is not conducive for a good diet. That banana did not sit well.
No, indeed, not at all. The yellow car not taking the yellow curbs as friendly as it would have hoped. Now in the middle of a sandwich here of the Mercedes and the Porsche, the very colorful green and yellow car surrounded by the white and black Porsche and Mercedes of Skyhook and Beachley. And yeah, Beachley, fantastic move to get that Mercedes up into 9th place. A bit far, 4.8 seconds to close down on 8th, but with cars running a little bit wide, as we've seen on many occasions before. Anything is still possible in the closing stages of the race. Alex Hansen still desperately trying to get by Neil Kerbel. That might have been his best run out of Aqua Minerale, but Kerbel placing the car perfectly, not giving Alex Hansen any advantage into the Variante Alta. And Ricardo Rivera is going to cross the start-finish line to start the final lap of the round of the season opener of the GT4 Open Series on Monday nights. Alex Hansen, though, trying to snag that third place away from Kerbel, who is getting a little bit squirrely into the braking zone and out of the Ravazzas. Alex Hansen dipping a wheel into the gravel. That's not going to help his chances of closing down to the McLaren in front. Chronotis and Cuevas behind in 5th and 6th, where they were just coming into the picture there. Cuevas trying to close the gap, and in fact has closed the gap to less than a second, so a good battle going to be going on there. On the final lap, Hansen and Chronotis battling for third. Hansen and Kerbel battling for third. Chronotis and Cuevas will be the battle for 5th place.
The tires at this point, if you haven't taken tires, are screaming to make this end as Hansen goes wide. Hopefully he won't get a track limits violation, and if he's on 3, that'll be a drive-through, and a drive-through at the end of this race would just be heartbreaking. But Kerbel doing their best to just hold on for dear life as we now head down into my favorite part of Imola, this downhill section, double left-hander. You start high, you go down low, you take this right-hander, you try and carry as much speed as you possibly can. Hold on for dear life as the elevation change kicks in so suddenly, and you're just fighting back up a hill. And so far, I think as long as Kerbel doesn't die off the banana sausage curbs, he will hold on to P3, but I'll throw it over to you, Kuja, to end this.
Yeah, Ricardo Rivera coming up to that checkered flag, bobbing and weaving left and right, finishing in the top spot like he did last season plenty of times. First place, Ricardo Rivera. Austin Doyle is going to be next to cross the line in second place, but the battle is going to continue for the final spot of the podium. Kerbel drifting it out of the final corner. Can Alex Hansen get the run he wants into the line? And it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it. The speed of the McLaren just too much for Hansen to try and do anything about. Congratulations to Neil Kerbel finishing on the podium. Thank you to JTZ for following Trackalicious. Thank you for the support. Chronotis crossing in 5th, keeping Cuevas behind in 6th. Provolone, the Cheese Man, finishing 7th. Blisk finishing 8th. Beachley finishing 9th in this 3-car battle we have across the line. Beachley 9th. Freeman 10th. Rod Skyhook in 11th, not quite able to catch up to the cars in front. Luke Nelson finishing 12th. Sebastian Zolsdorf, the number 13, in 13th in the number 23 Mercedes. Cars pulling off to the side of the road, left and right to pull off and into the garage. And Colin Sugg crosses the line in 14th. George Elmer in 13th. Mitch Nyarati, after serving that drive-through penalty for track limits, will end up in 15th place. Not too bad, all things considered. Still a good result and plenty of races to go. This is Joe Kalial in the Kalial Batman Beyond number 26 Aston Martin, crossing the line to finish in 15th place. Maybe a little bit further, as a few drivers may have already left the server. Crossing the line, 15th place, Pork Chop just behind in 16th, Yatanashi 17th, Perez in 17th. Then we've got Church, Torres, Duchy, Martino, Weaver, and Johnson finishing out our 26-car grid. And that was absolutely fun stuff today, Tyler.
That was absolutely fun. We'll see if we can get Rivera and Doyle in for some interviews as they finished in the top of their class. It was an absolute banger of a fight to watch there between Hansen and Kerbel. So, honestly, not as much action as we saw in these race number 2, but everyone had their own battles. Not as, especially with the Open, you probably won't have as many contacts and stuff like that. And just honestly, it was just an absolute masterclass of a battle there between all those drivers.
Yeah, 100%. Not as, yeah, like you said, not as much action, but a lot more calculated moves from the Open Series tonight. And good to see all that fun action. And just a quick mention, if you did see a pass or a save that you did like and would like to clip that, please do so. Post it in the Discord in our pass and save of the season channel, and we will be posting a video at the end of the season with the compilation of all of the highlights from all of the different championships that Trackalicious will be hosting throughout the spring and onto the summer, of course. And these GT4 races on Monday will have a prize from our friends at Next Level Racing, a haptic seat insert from Next Level Racing will be going to a random winner who finishes the majority of the races. I believe it's going to be 7 out of 8 races. And the prize will go to the winner drawn at random for both the Open and the Rookie Series. So if you want to stick around and try and get yourself one of those, sign up on SimGrid and sign up as well for all of the other championships we have going on, especially on Sundays. That's a fun Proto Pavement series that Trackalicious hosts in the GT3s in ACC. And we've got our podium finishers sitting in the green room.
Throw them all in. Throw them all in here.
We're going to put them in one at a time. We don't want that chaos.
I love chaos. Bring it on.
We're going to put in Neil Kerbel first, finishing in 3rd place. How's it going, Neil? Happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday to you both. I am exhausted. I think I'm going to sleep for all of Tuesday.
Yeah, fair enough. Lots of action towards the end of the race, defending for your life from Alex Hansen. A pretty quiet race at the beginning, and then it seemed to just turn on completely after your pit stop. Talk us through what it's like defending around Imola.
It's actually not too bad. The McLaren has some pretty good straight line speed, so as long as you get the exit and you get on the throttle quick enough with the car, pointed in the right direction, you can usually keep most cars behind you, and that's really what I was banking on, because I was talking to Hansen. He ended up taking tires, but it's so difficult to pass on this track.
Yeah, it seemed like he had super grip in the corners, but like you said, you had that absolutely insane straight line speed advantage in the McLaren, able to take 3rd place away. Were you racing in the last season, Neil?
No, it's actually been 1 year since I raced in GT4 Open.
Well, that's a fantastic debut for the season then. Congrats on that podium finish.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to see all sorts of familiar faces back on the grid. And now we're going to pull in our 2nd place finisher, Austin Doyle, rookie from last season. A pro this season. Austin Doyle, congratulations. Finishing 2nd, earning that promotion from rookies to the pros. How are you feeling tonight, my friend?
Tired. That was a long race. Kerbel and Hansen were pretty much there the whole time, besides when they started fighting on the last stint, so really had me working to just stay consistent up in front of them.
Yeah, good result. Of course, finishing super high in the rookies last season, able to get promoted for this season. What do you think the challenges are going to be for you coming into this Open Series?
Definitely consistency still. I at least had some Open experience last season as I joined a couple of the last rounds, but 50-minute races 50 minutes straight is a lot harder than 20 minutes break, 20 minutes.
Yeah, 100%. The fatigue factor certainly can come into play. And last season, even more so with the 2 20-minute races before the long 50-minute race. So lucky for you, a little bit less of a strain with just that 1 50-minute race, but still able to keep the pressure or able to keep yourself out of the pressure and finishing up in 2nd place. So good start for the season for you, Austin. Congratulations and good luck for the rest of the rounds we have ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely phenomenal start to the season.
Could not agree more. And now it's time to hear from our race winner, Ricardo Rivera. Good evening, good morning, good night, Ricardo. I'm not sure where you were coming from, but yeah, thank you for joining us in the green room and in the commentary booth. Congratulations on taking pole position and the race win. Pretty much right where you finished last season. You're starting off this season, finishing off in first place.
Yeah, I actually really tired. I took a flight midnight from Colorado and arrived at Puerto Rico at 10 a.m. and I'm like dying of tiredness. But it was a cool actual race. Thank God I didn't have any fight to do because I think I I was already at the end seeing blurry the screen and stuff. But yeah, the McLaren is a beast. It's way different from the Alpine in last season.
Yeah, adjusting to a different car for the season. What is the what kind of stuff do you practice when you switch from car to car?
Well, I always the first thing I do, no matter I've done the tracks 1,000 times, especially if I change a car, is watching a YouTube video for that particular car and track combo. It always helps a lot, I think, in figuring out whatever the line is and the braking point and stuff. That's basically start putting laps after laps.
Yeah, just getting in that consistency, getting used to car. Tyler, do you have any questions for our race winner?
Who are you, honestly? Like, your pace is insane. You Max Verstappen, like, honestly, in the final, in that you finished the race by 20. How do you not get bored? Like, what makes you keep going at that incredible pace?
If I got in front, I just try to put faster laps every time, and I put a 49.8 on the first thing, and I was like trying to beat that fast lap, and I keep hitting 49.9s, 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 and I actually finished the race almost with 3 track limits because of I keep pushing and competing with myself, so that way I don't get bored.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, the track limits are certainly a big factor at Imola, with the lines always seeming to come really fast, and you just want to carry as much speed as you possibly can through every corner. And yeah, unfortunately, we did see one drive-through penalty earlier, but good on you, Ricardo, for keeping it on the track surface between the white lines, finishing in first place. Absolutely perfect start to this new season for you. Thanks for joining us in the commentary booth, and I'm sure we will see you again throughout the season. Good luck to you in the remaining 7 rounds.
Thanks for everything and the great commentary as always.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Ricardo. Tyler, any closing thoughts from you, my friend?
Other than this is going to be an exciting season for both the rookies and the Open, and I can't wait to see how it ends.
Yeah, 100% agree. I'm trying to catch up to Ricardo. Good luck with that. He is setting a monster pace. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that Ricardo is absolutely blistering at the front, and it'll be fun to see any sort of competition at the front to see if anyone can close the gap to Ricardo up ahead. Before we get this raid going, just want to mention all of the fun events that Trackalicious has lined up for everybody. On Mondays, as you just saw, we've got the GT4 Rookies starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, followed by the GT4 Open Championship at 9:30 Eastern Time. Next level racing prizes to a random competitor in both of those series available, so make sure you sign up on SimGrid to get yourself involved in those. Tuesdays, we switch over to Le Mans Ultimate with 60-minute races on Tuesdays. The season starts off on Sebring tomorrow. And then on Wednesdays, we're back to ACC in the GT3 West Coast Wednesday Championship starting at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. And it is, of course, open to anybody and everybody. You don't have to live on the West Coast or in the West Coast time zone to participate. Signups are open to all and everybody. Thursdays, we move on to the one iRacing series in the mixed GT3 and GT4 championship starting this week. Also going to Sebring on Thursdays, starting at 8:30 Eastern Time. On Fridays, we've got the Multi-Class Masters, the Le Mans Ultimate 100-minute races starting at 8:30 Eastern Time on Fridays. We've already seen the season start, and they actually alternate, I believe, weekly between a multi-class GT3 and hypercar race, and the other series is the Orica Masters Cup, which is the LMP2 category. Last but not least, on Sundays is the Next Level Racing GT3 Pro Championship, and plenty of fun racing, as always, in the fun ACC action on Sundays. And of course, there is that prize from Next Level Racing at the end of the season. So make sure you tune in, join all the action on SimGrid. And yeah, thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thanks you to all the new followers. Thank you to everybody who rated. Thank you to everybody who commented. We really appreciate all the support here at Trackalicious. Thank you to Tyler for joining me in the commentary booth tonight. I have been Kuja Terekov, and we will catch you next time. And on to the raid we go.